Chapter 1822. He knew Qin Chu too well. All these years, he had been so cold and aloof. No matter how difficult it was, he would never team up with Su Yu. That might not be the case. Things have changed. I heard, Immerse purposely paused. What did you hear? I heard that Huamin's two little bastards are very close to Su Yu. If the children mediate between them, it won't be difficult for them to team up. I'm afraid you won't be able to handle it. Why would I be afraid of two little kids? Shui, have you been taking too many drugs lately? You're starting to talk nonsense. Hua Xiqian disliked Mo Shui, more and more, compared to when they first met. Hua Xiqian liked the innocent little girl more. Her eyes were clear, and her smile was a little shy. Not this scheming person who was two-faced in front and two-faced in the back. Mo Shui, might be a goddess in the eyes of her fans, but in Hua Xiqian's eyes, she was now a real whore. Hua Xiqian didn't care about what she said. She wasn't persuasive at all. If you think that way, you'll regret it. If I were you, I'd find a chance to kidnap those two little bastards. Then whether it's Qin Chu, Huamin, or Su Yu, they'll all surrender. Let's end the conversation here. I'm a little tired. I'll send Ms. Mo out. Hua Xiqian felt like Mo Shui was getting more and more ridiculous. If it was so easy to catch the twins, he wouldn't be so troubled. He couldn't get Huamin. Were the twins that easy to catch? Mo Shui was speaking like she didn't care about her back. You can't even do it for your own good. You don't want to listen to anything I say. You're already in your 30s. Let's see how long you can be stubborn. You'd be pitiful if you don't even have children in the end. Mo Shui said sarcastically. In the past, Hua Xiqian would have rushed down and slapped Mo Shui so hard that she saw stars. But now he wouldn't. He didn't want to say another word to this crazy woman. Therefore, when Hua Xiqian heard Mo Shui's sarcasm, he stopped in his tracks and said without turning his head, "You better keep a low profile for a while. If you cause any trouble, don't blame me for what happens next." Mo Shui saw Yen Ruoshi walking in when she was about to leave. Oh, isn't this the heiress of a rich family? Mo Shui held a cigarette in her hand and smiled faintly. "Miss, what a coincidence, you're here too." Yen Ruoshi wasn't familiar with Mo Shui. She only knew that Mo Shui was Hua Xiqian's ex-girlfriend, so she wasn't friendly to her. "I missed Xiqian, so I came to see him." "Oh, right, Miss Yen, Xiqian has a lot of stamina. You have to eat more, or he won't be happy if you can't serve him." Then Mo Shui let out two lewd laughs and left. Yen Ruoshi's face was gloomy. "Qian." Yen Ruoshi stood at the bedroom door and called out Hua Xiqian's name coquettishly. "Why are you here?" "I missed you. There's a big Marvel movie coming out. It's called Doctor or something. It's really good. Come with me, I just bought 2 tickets. It's the premiere." "I don't have time. I have a video conference later." "Oh, it's okay. We can watch it tomorrow or when you're free." Yen Ruoshi smiled as she walked in. She sat on the sofa and looked at Hua Xiqian lovingly. "Ruoshi, yeah? I'm not suitable for you," Hua Xiqian said in all seriousness as he looked at Yen Ruoshi. Chapter 1823. If it was before, Hua Xiqian would have used this brainless woman just like he used Song Yisher. But now, he really didn't have time to think about her. He only felt a growing sense of crisis. He couldn't deal with Su Yu, and now Qin Chu was back. Mo Shui was right, he was in a difficult situation. Right now, he only wanted to get Huamin as soon as possible. Nothing else mattered. No one is born for each other. It's because we don't know each other that we're slowly getting used to each other. I've been very happy to be by your side for the past 3 years, but I'm not happy. I don't like you at all. You're still young. Don't waste your time. Hua Xiqian waved his hand as if he wanted to send Yen Ruoshi away. "So, are you trying to tell me that you've always had a woman in your heart, and her name is Huamin?" Yen Ruoshi asked with a smile as she looked at Hua Xiqian. "It doesn't matter who I like. Don't try to be smart. I hate women who pretend to be smart when they're actually stupid. I'm not trying to be smart. I know what you're thinking. But Qian, you have to know that Huamin doesn't love you. Plus, Even if young Master Su treats her so well, she didn't even give him a loving hug after being with him for 3 or 4 years. Who do you think you are? Yenroshi, my family matters have nothing to do with you. You should go back. Then, Huasiqian rudely pulled off his tie and turned to leave. He left Yen Ruashi alone in his bedroom. Inside the VIP room at the first hospital, Handsome Su, do you want some water? Pudding asked. Su Yu shook his head. Thanks, Pudding, but I don't drink water. Handsome Su, do you want a piece of jelly bean? It's orange flavored. She carefully took out a piece of jelly bean from the pocket of her floral dress. No, thanks, little bean. Su Yu looked at the sisters lovingly. Tang Chuan couldn't stand it anymore. He chewed on his gum and reprimanded them. You two, don't play games here. I know you two are smart and full of stuff. Why don't you go back and persuade your mommy not to continue torturing Lord Su? He's miserable enough, really. Ever since he met your mother a few years ago, he hasn't had a good day. What nonsense are you talking about? Su Yu glared at Tang Chuan. Am I not telling the truth? That's the truth, isn't it? I'd say you're an idiot. She treated you like a spare tire. When her husband wasn't back, she kept you hanging. But when her husband came back, she immediately kicked you away. Lord Su, even if you don't feel pain, I feel pain for you. Tang Chuan was really angry. When he said this, only Wei Liao, Su Yu and the twins were in the room. Luckily, Lady Su wasn't here, or else she would be furious. Little Bean lowered her head, thinking about how to fight back against Tang Chuan. She turned her head, glanced at Tang Chuan's face, and asked, Uncle Tang, do you enjoy meddling in other people's business? Do you know that in China, there's an old saying that goes the eunuch is more anxious than the emperor? Huh? Little girl, what do you mean? Tang Chuan looked at Little Bean, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. My sister's meaning is very clear. She means that Handsome Su is the emperor and you're the eunuch, Little Bean explained patiently. Tang Chuan, Little Bean, no one will like you if you talk like that. Don't worry, there are many people who don't like us. Who do you think you are? Little Bean continued to add insult to injury. But I say, you two little things are really, Uncle Tang, at your age, you should take care of your kidney and not worry about other people's business. No matter what happens between Handsome Su and Mommy, it's none of your business. Even if Mommy really owes Handsome Su and wronged him, it's all up to Handsome Su. As long as Handsome Su is happy, Tang Chuan, see, now that the twins are teaching you a lesson, you'll be obedient and won't bully Huamin anymore. Wei Liao laughed. Old Wei, I'm telling you, you can't have a daughter-in-law like her. She's too scary. Tang Chuan couldn't help but laugh. The problem is, even if my son wants to marry her, she might not marry him. Wei Liao continued to joke. Pudding glanced at Tang Chuan indifferently and turned to ask Su Yu, Handsome Su, tell me, has Mommy really treated you as a spare tire these years? Did she purposely leave you hanging? Today, I have to make things clear so that no one will always use words to attack my mommy and bully her kindness. Chapter 1824. Of course not. Your Uncle Su is so smart, how could I be treated as a spare tire? What a joke, Su Yu answered without hesitation. Humph. Ask Lord Su, of course he won't tell you. He's so protective of your mommy. Tang Chuan was obviously not satisfied. Uncle Wei, what do you think? Pudding turned around and looked at Wei Liao. Wei Liao obviously didn't expect to be implicated. Pudding immediately ran over and held Wei Liao's hand. Yes, Uncle Wei, you said that you're an outsider. You should be the most convincing. I think, that your mommy wouldn't treat Lord Su as a spare tire. After all, he's not even a spare tire right now, damn it. Wei Liao, are you trying to belittle me? Su Yu was so angry that he almost sat up. See, you're not even a spare tire. Tang Chuan laughed. I mean, although you're not as good as a spare tire, it's a good thing. Spare tires aren't worth much. Plus, only a car that always breaks down needs a spare tire. Huamin only has one real husband. Let's not fantasize here. Wei Liao analyzed. Uncle Wei's words are very pertinent and very convincing. There are 5 people in the room right now, and the vote is 4-1, Tang Chuan. So, Uncle Tang, please don't talk nonsense in the future. If I hear you bad-mouthing mommy behind her back again. Pudding said very slowly. Tang Chuan crossed his arms and laughed. What will you do to me? We have many ways to deal with you. Don't challenge our patience, and don't challenge my sister's psychological defenses, she's very scary. Pudding said. After Pudding said this, everyone laughed. At this moment, Lady Su came in with a nurse and changed Su Yu's for. Little Bean, Pudding, are you guys hungry? Grandma will take you to eat. Lady Su looked at the twins lovingly. Grandma Su, we're done eating. As long as handsome Su is fine, we should go home. Grandma hasn't spent enough time with you guys. Lady Su was reluctant to leave. Little Bean ran over and hugged Lady Su's leg, acting cute. Grandma Su, don't be sad. We'll come to see you later. We also have to see Grandpa Lord Su and Great-Grandpa. You have to make us your best grape and osmanthus cake. Grandma will make whatever you want to eat. Lady Su felt that her heart was about to melt. Grandma Su, is Uncle in outside? Pudding asked calmly. Let him send you back. Okay. Pudding nodded. Then she turned around and looked at Su Yu. Handsome Su, get well soon. I'm fine. Don't worry and don't come back and forth. It's too dangerous. Su Yu was worried. Handsome Su, if you want to eat anything, remember to tell me. I'll ask the maid to make it for you, Little Bean added. If you want to eat, just say so. Don't use Handsome Su as an excuse. Pudding glanced at her sister helplessly. Impossible. I really care about Handsome Su. All right, stop arguing you two. Go home quickly. Be careful on the road. Call Uncle when you get home. Su Yu reminded them. Okay, we'll go now. Be good. Little Bean looked at Su Yu reluctantly. I'll be good. Su Yu smiled. Good girl, don't flirt with the nurse. Pudding said proudly and walked out before anyone could react. Chapter 1825. Pudding's words were like a bolt of lightning. After the twins left, the room became much quieter. Oh my God, they're finally gone. Tang Chuan let out a long sigh, feeling much more relaxed. Don't mess with the twins, they're very powerful. Even Huamin has a headache. Wei Liao laughed. To be honest, I, Tang Chuan, have lived for so long, but I've never seen such an amazing kid. Is he even a kid? I feel like they're going to become spirits. It can't be helped, their parents' genes are too strong. In this generation, just think of it as a genetic mutation. What do you think, Lord Su? Wei Liao looked at Su Yu with a smile. Even if Pudding and Little Bean are young and old, they're still kids. Their thoughts are still very simple. Kids only care about good and evil, adults only care about benefits and losses. That's very rare. I like them a lot. Sometimes I greedily wish that they were my daughters. After saying this, Su Yu smiled bitterly. All right, can you stop dreaming? She's not even your wife, so how can the kids be yours? You, if you ask me, you should either find a rich girl and get married to her and live a normal life, or you can continue to fool around like you used to and drink with your female artists every day. Isn't that great? Why go down the path of one-sided love? Sooner or later, you'll be tortured to death. Tang Chuan began to persuade Su Yu again. I don't think this path is difficult. In fact, from the moment little Mian moved into the Su family until now, these 4 years have been the happiest of my life. I know I'm too greedy, but compared to Qin Chu, I'm much happier. Although he met Huamin when they were young, they separated due to various misunderstandings. Until now, they've been separated for 11 years. To Qin Chu, who loves Huamin deeply, that's an unspeakable pain. A pain that no one else can see. Are you speaking up for your love rival? Tang Chuan was speechless. No, I'm just stating facts. All right, let's stop talking about this. Did you two come here empty-handed? Didn't you bring any gifts? You guys are so rude. Su Yu changed the topic. Tang Chuan and Wei Liao were dumbfounded. When the twins arrived home, it was already past 8 p.m., the kitchen had prepared desserts and snacks, and Huamin was having a video conference upstairs. Downstairs, Qin Chu's eyes. He sat between the two sisters and carefully blew on the 8 treasure longan porridge to cool it down. Then he fed them a mouthful of pudding. "Daddy, I want one too." Little Bean's eyes immediately turned red. "Of course," Chin-Chu said, "of course, of a little puppies of porridge." "Daddy, where did you and Mommy go today?" Little Bean asked curiously. "We went to eat and then went to Rainbow Square for a walk." "Rainbow Square? There are a lot of aunties there. Why did you guys go there?" "Daddy, you have bad taste." Pudding pointed at the square. Chapter 1826. Pudding finally couldn't take it anymore. She put down her spoon and interrupted, "Chin Moo Moo, can you grow a brain? Don't ask Daddy to answer such a simple question. It's fate who likes who. What does it have to do with looks? Mommy isn't pretty or gentle, but she's charming. That's the most important thing for a woman. If you rely on your looks, it's not wise. I don't think Daddy is a shallow man who only looks at a woman's face. Please, don't try to fool me with the stories you read in magazines and on TV. It's one thing for handsome Sue and Uncle Wei to be fooled by you. They always think that you're an old man. In fact, you're just an armchair strategist. You're just copying other people's words. It's not convincing to me. I want to hear it from Daddy himself." Pudding. For the first time, she was rendered speechless by Pudding's rebuttal. In fact, Pudding was right. Pudding always said things that adults said. Not all of them came from her own head, but she learned most of them. Sometimes she heard from Huamin that she learned from watching TV. Other times, she would look for books to read. However, because she didn't know many rare words, she would read them out loud. In this way, Pudding wasn't that amazing. She just had a good memory and fast reflexes. "Be good. Don't argue. Daddy will answer." Every time Chin-Chu saw his daughters argue, he felt conflicted. Pudding looked up at Chin-Chu expectantly. Actually, love is a very magical thing. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. Most of the time, when you meet someone, you're caught off guard. The first time I saw your mommy, it was on TV. At that time, I had a very subtle feeling that this woman would be my wife in the future. Wow. Daddy, you're indeed a bossy president. You're really bossy. Pudding clapped her hands to flatter her daddy. After being scolded by Pudding, Pudding's aura was completely gone. She sat on the side in silence, seeming to have suffered a big blow. "I heard that you two are also very bossy. Do you often bully Wei Yunchu and Gao Buyan?" Speaking of this, Chin-Chu wanted to laugh. Huamin had already told him. Not only did they bully Wei Yunchu, who was a few months older than them, but they also bullied Gao Buyan, who couldn't speak. Gao Ran's son was so scared that when he saw them, he twisted his little butt and ran away. On the other hand, Wei Yunchu would often be cornered by the two sisters and forced to ask who was prettier. Just by imagining it, one could tell that it was a heart-wrenching drama. "We didn't bully them. We're so kind. We love our brothers very much," Little Bean explained with a smile. "Do you really love your brothers very much?" Chin-Chu asked with a smile. "Sometimes, maybe we'll tease them, but we won't really bully them. After all, we're so close and don't want things to get too bad. We won't make things difficult for Mommy." Little Bean continued to smile slyly. At this moment, Chin-Chu turned around and looked at the depressed Pudding. He immediately picked her up and put her on his lap. "Pudding, don't mind Little Bean's words. You're both very outstanding and are Daddy's good daughters." "Daddy, are we geniuses?" Chin-Chu obviously didn't expect his daughter to ask this and was slightly surprised. "We've been called geniuses since we were born, so I really want to prove that I'm a genius. I heard that Mommy has a high IQ and EQ, and Daddy is also a fast learner. You can do anything well, and we don't want to embarrass you. We don't want people to say that we're not as good as you. Pudding, you're thinking too much. This isn't something you should be thinking about at your age. You two just need to be happy and safe. Your Mommy and I don't need you to be geniuses. You're just our daughters, that's all." Chin-Chu's words made tears glisten in his daughter's eyes. At this moment, Huamin walked downstairs. "Honey." Her expression was serious. Chin-Chu carefully put down Pudding and walked over. Huamin picked up the news page on his phone and showed it to Chin-Chu. Breaking news just happened. Take a look. Qin Chu could tell that Huamin's emotions were fluctuating. He wrapped his arms around her slender waist. Honey, I'm not afraid of trouble. If you're so troublesome, don't bother others. I'll punish you for the rest of my life. Upon hearing his words, Huamin laughed with tears in his eyes. The two of them looked at each other in silence. Ahem. Daddy, Mommy, are you guys going to watch an 8 p.m. romance drama again? The dialogue is so melodramatic, Little Bean complained. It's late. I think we should go to bed. Little Bean, if you continue to be a third wheel, you really don't understand romance. With that, Pudding jumped down from the chair and went straight to her room. Little Bean made a face at Qin Chu and Huamin and followed her sister upstairs to her room. You two little brats, slow down. Don't bump into each other. The nanny carefully followed behind them. Huamin looked embarrassed. It was indeed a little awkward to have two little brats being affectionate in the house. Huamanchen, boss, look at the news. Something happened to Miss Imo. When Huasiqian saw the news, he was furious. Chapter 1828. Recently, Mo Shui was working with an overseas company, and it was going to be released in half a month. The Huo Corporation had invested hundreds of millions into the project, and now that this news was out, the consequences were unimaginable. That bitch. I told her to take it easy, but she still got into trouble. Boss, Qin Chu must have done this. What's the point of worrying about who did it? What's important is how to fix it. Huasiqian was so angry that he called Mayor Yan. Mayor, did you see the news just now? President Hua, I was just about to call you to talk about this. What the hell is going on? How could such a mistake happen? Mayor Yan's tone was filled with dissatisfaction. I'm sorry, Mayor, but I think there must be some misunderstanding. Maybe a rival company is trying to smear my name. So, I hope you can help me suppress this. How do you want me to suppress it? The Municipal Public Security Bureau arrested him directly. The Narcotics Department received a report. Also, Director Gao's son is now the Deputy Director of the Municipal Public Security Bureau. That person is very serious. I think it would be even more difficult for me to handle this. Senior leaders all like to talk in a bureaucratic manner. Upon hearing Mayor Yan's words, Huasiqian immediately understood what he meant. I understand. Then I won't bother you anymore. I'll think of something else. Okay, hurry up and deal with this. It'll affect the whole corporation. I know, Mayor. After hanging up the phone, Huasiqian was about to call the other senior leaders to get in touch with them to suppress this matter. However, one of his subordinates reported to him, Boss, look. The Municipal Bureau just posted something on Weibo. They've confirmed the authenticity of this incident. This is going to be troublesome. Huasiqian's face darkened. He took out his tablet and opened Weibo. When he saw the post that the police posted, his heart sank. The police of the City Public Security Bureau wrote this. MOXX, a well-known actress, 30 years old. Due to gathering a crowd to take drugs in a villa in Dongxing Wangfu District, 3 men and 5 women, all of them tested positive for urine. Currently, all of them have been detained by the police. The details of the situation are still pending the next step of the trial. The City Public Security Bureau also reminds the general public that taking drugs is harmful to health. The police posted something like this on Weibo, proving that Mo Shui was a drug user. Huasiqian couldn't suppress it even if he wanted to. The public opinion on Weibo was one-sided. Mo Shui's selfie posted yesterday, and there were already more than 400,000 comments below it. Huasiqian opened it and glanced at it. They were all insulting her. I didn't know that the goddess was a bitch. Wow, she's a drug user, you know what? Drug addicts are the most messed up. Regardless of gender, they're all beasts. Everyone should boycott such people in the future. Mo Shui, get out of the entertainment industry. I suggest we ban her from the country so she can never embarrass herself in public again. I've never liked her. She's just a used shoe that the whole corporation made. She slept with thousands of people. Why did she have to go so far? Only you crazy fans would like her. I wonder how many millions the whole corporation is going to lose. I heard that the movie, Nightcrawler, that's about to be released is going to be hard to produce. They invested 500 million yuan and even invited a Hollywood actor to act with her. What a disappointment, Emo Shui. I didn't know you were this kind of person. I won't watch any of your movies or TV shows anymore. You're so negative. No wonder Hua Xiqian didn't want to marry you. You're a drug user. Scary. Hua Xiqian couldn't take it anymore. He closed the Weibo homepage. Boss, what should we do now? Chapter 1829. Tell the company to release a statement saying that Emo Shui's drug use is purely personal. She's currently on vacation and everything she does has nothing to do with the company. Yes, sir. An hour later, the whole corporation's PR department released a statement. It was obvious that it was done by a team. It was a very official statement. The general idea was that Emo Shui's drug use was her own business. President Hu didn't know about it, nor did the company. Now, Emo Shui had no way out of this. Everyone kicked a man who was down. All the actresses who used to hate Emo Shui, no matter how low their ranks were, all came out to take advantage of Emo Shui's popularity. They bombarded Emo Shui with all kinds of insults and revelations. There was so much information that it was hard to tell the truth from the lies. Jian Tong received the most attention. As Imperial Star's #1 actress, she naturally wouldn't be let off the hook by the media. Jian Tong was on her way home from supper when she was surrounded by a large group of reporters. She got out of her Rolls-Royce Phantom and walked elegantly in her 7-inch heels. Miss Jian, what do you think about Emo Shui's drug use? I'm sorry, I don't know Miss Emo that well. I won't take advantage of her when she's in the limelight or step on her when she's in trouble. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I really don't have any news to report. Miss Jian, Emo Shui is now in deep trouble. No one in the domestic entertainment industry can surpass your status, right? What's Imperial Star's next step? I'm sorry, I really don't know. I'm just following the company's orders. Thank you, everyone. Surprisingly, Jian Tong kept a low profile this time. She didn't take advantage of the situation or use it as a publicity stunt. After walking through the crowd of reporters, Jian Tong opened the door and entered her room. Her assistant immediately took her bag and jacket from her hands. Tong, I think we can use this opportunity to create some publicity. Why do you have to keep a low profile? We've missed such a good opportunity. Plus, Emo Shui used to bully you. It's normal for you to expose something. I don't think she can make a comeback. Didn't you see that the whole corporation cut ties with her? What do you know? I don't want to keep a high profile. Don't you know that the bird that sticks out gets shot? Besides, President Su doesn't like high-profile women. After speaking, Jian Tong turned around and headed upstairs, leaving the assistant speechless. It seemed Miss Jian hadn't given up on her feelings for President Su. The next morning Hua Min woke up from his sleep. He was still in a daze and had not fully regained consciousness. Qin Chu planted a kiss on her forehead. Last night, the two of them did it for half the night. Hua Min felt that she was exhausted after giving birth. Her back was so sore that she couldn't get out of bed. President Hua, wake up. It's time for you to go to work. President Nick, are you really going to exploit your subordinates like this? Hua Min chuckled. I'm not exploiting my subordinates. You think too highly of me. I'm just a house husband who relies on my wife to make money. My job is to take care of the children, cook, and massage my wife's shoulders. Okay, Mr. Qin, you win. Hua Min knew that Qin Chu cherished the time he spent with them. After she got up, she suddenly thought of something and asked with a smile, how much did the whole corporation's shares fall this morning? 7%, and it's still falling. Perfect, let's see if Hua Xiqian can still sit still. Hua Min felt much better after her first counterattack. She hated seeing Hua Xiqian's smug face the most. Don't worry, this is just the beginning, his expression will get better and better. Qin Chu smiled slightly. He had the aura of a king that only a victor would have. Hua Min felt like the king-like man that she loved deeply was back. Please, don't look at me like that, I can't take it. Qin Chu looked at Huamin gently and slowly approached her. Chapter 1830. Hey Mr. Qin, it's so early in the morning. Is it really okay for you to flirt with your wife? Huamin laughed as he backed away. Good morning. The light is good and you're in good shape. Huamin couldn't resist Mr. Qin and was once again pushed onto the big, soft bed. An hour later, Huamin looked at his watch and exclaimed, "Oh my God, it's 7:30 a.m. It's all your fault. I'm going to be late for work." After saying that, she got up and hurriedly began to wash up. When she came downstairs, Uncle Li was about to say, "A young lady, breakfast is ready, I'm not eating. I'm going to be late for work." After saying that, he rushed out of the door. Qin Chu, on the other hand, came downstairs leisurely. He was wearing a black long-sleeved shirt with white cuffs and collar. He looked very handsome. "Good morning, Daddy," Little Bean greeted him sweetly. "Good morning, Little Bean." "Wow, Daddy, you're so good. You can always tell me from my sister." Little Bean continued to flatter him. Pudding held a glass of water and looked at Little Bean helplessly. "Because Daddy knows that you're the one who's good at flattering, not me, Little Bean. Babies, do you have any plans today? Is there anywhere you want to go? Daddy can be your chauffeur and bodyguard. Anything. As long as I'm with Daddy, anywhere is good." Little Bean ignored Pudding and continued to act cute. "What about you? Pudding, do you have any good ideas?" "Daddy, you don't have to be with us every day. We know that you're busy with work," Pudding said sensibly. "No, Daddy has time to be with you even if he's busy. Daddy will slowly make it up to you and your mommy for the past 4 years. Ahem, speaking of mommy, I have something to say." Little Bean raised her hand. "Go ahead." Qin Chu smiled dotingly. "Daddy, can you control yourself? Mommy woke up late and couldn't eat breakfast. It's not good for her health. We understand that you want a second child, but don't go too far." Qin Chu was speechless. "Daddy, don't mind her. Little Bean is dirty." Pudding looked calm as if she was used to Little Bean's way of talking. "I'm not dirty, I'm just stating facts. Plus, I actually support Daddy and Mommy to be more loving and have a second child. That way, I'll have a helper to deal with Pudding in the future. I don't want her to be the only boss." Babies, let's not talk about this for now. Your mommy gave me a mission this morning. I'm going to see Ms. E today. We're going to see Ms. E again. Both of our piano skills are maxed out. Little Bean was in disbelief. "Daddy, I think we can learn something else. We've already maxed out on the piano. Why don't you find us a zither teacher, a pipa teacher, a bamboo flute teacher, or a drum teacher? That would be even better." "No, your mommy said that your piano skills are too streamlined. There's no emotion, it's all technique. So, this needs to be corrected. I'm not asking you to learn piano to show off your skills. I'm asking you to learn how to express your feelings. When you grow up, no matter if you're happy or not, you can use the sound of the piano to express your feelings. It's a magical thing." "Daddy, you sound so professional. Are you also a piano expert?" Little Bean asked. Chapter 1831. I know a little, but I'm not as good as your mommy. She can play a difficult song like Memories of Don Juan, Qin Chu said modestly. Then when we go to the piano room, we can play a duet with Daddy. What do you think? No problem. As long as you guys are willing. Qin Chu smiled. After a hearty breakfast, Qin Chu took his daughter to the piano room. Huamin drove her Audi R8 to work. Luckily, there wasn't much traffic, so she wasn't late. Otherwise, it would be really awkward if she was late. "Good morning, President Hua." In the morning meeting, the executives all stood up to greet her. In the past 3 years, Huamin had done a great job. Now, no one dared to look down on this young girl in her 20s. "President Hua, this is the year-end plan of our marketing department. Please take a look." President Hua, the small high-rise project in Blue Mountain Shangyu has officially started. Fundraising will begin next week. You have to go there and cut the ribbon. The government seems to be taking this project seriously, and the citizens are very interested in it. President Hua, the new season of jewelry has been released. However, Perhaps the market is tired, so the pre-sales aren't very good. Should we continue to promote the new products, or should we change the spokesperson? President Hua, this is a sample of the new product provided by a supplier in Malaysia. We've already had someone appraise it. The material is high quality, but the price is a little high. Should we continue to work with them? Or should we look for a new supplier? That morning, Hua Mian read through a lot of documents and dealt with a lot of difficult problems. After the morning meeting, she walked into her office. Bella made a glass of milk for Hua Min. President Hua, here's your milk. Thank you. Hua Min rubbed her temples and took the glass of milk. She had developed the habit of drinking milk in the early years when she and Chin Chu had just gotten married. Chin Chu had always wanted a baby, so every time he came to the company, he would ask his assistant, Xiao Yang, to make milk for Hua Min. Hua Min had gotten used to drinking coffee over time. Now, Hua Min felt that he was no longer used to drinking coffee. President Hua. Yang walked in, dressed in a suit. Today, Xiao Yang was no longer an assistant, but a senior executive in the administrative department. He had done an excellent job and had a lot of prestige in the company. What is it? It's a private matter. Can you tell me? Yang smiled. Are you going to ask for leave? I've been busy lately. I won't approve it. Hua Mian smiled willfully. No, I know you're busy at the end of the year. How could I ask for leave? It's like this. Isn't President Qin back? I heard that his leg was injured, so I asked my relatives in the mountains to get me some good beef bones. I was going to make soup for Chin Chu. I was going to give it to him myself, but he hasn't been coming to the company lately, so I decided to bring it back for you. Then, Yang placed the bag on Hua Min's desk. President Qin and I thank you. Hua Min's eyes were filled with warmth. These employees were really considerate. Yang had been with Chin Chu for a long time, so naturally, he had a special relationship with him. Yang was actually very good as an assistant, but Hua Min was a woman, so it wasn't convenient for her to go on business trips. That was why Bella was appointed as Yang's assistant and Hua Min made an exception to promote him. Hua Min remembered all of this, and he had worked very hard for the past 3 years. But don't be so polite with me. I can't even repay you and President Qin's kindness. If it weren't for you, I would still be an insignificant employee. Okay, it's not Thanksgiving today, don't be so sentimental. I'll take the gift and have the kitchen make it for Mr. Qin when I get home. Don't worry. Okay, then I'll go out, President Hua. Hua Min nodded. Just then, Bella walked in and whispered something into Hua Min's ear. Why is he here? Hua Min frowned slightly. Chapter 1832. This is a critical time. Does President Hua plan to see him? Bella asked softly. After hesitating for a moment, Hua Min nodded. Let him in. I think he has something to say to me. Bella nodded and turned to leave. After a while, a man dressed in luxurious casual clothes from a famous brand walked in slowly. President Hua, it's been a while since we last met. The man smiled. Mr. Jiang, how have you been? Hua Min looked at Jiang Yi and said faintly. President Hua, do you mind if I smoke? Sure. Jiang Yi smiled as he sat down on the sofa across from Hua Min. He took out a black and gold pack of cigarettes, took out a thin stick, and put it in his mouth. I've been back in Jing City for half a year now. If it weren't for Mo Shui's accident, I wouldn't have come back. So, are you here to beg for mercy? Hua Min looked at him and asked quietly. Beg for mercy? No. President Hua, you seem to be mistaken. The truth is, Mo Shui's life and death and her career have nothing to do with me. I don't care about these things. Jiang Yi smiled. Hua Min only looked at Jiang Yi quietly, as if he was trying to figure out what he was thinking. He didn't say anything. President Hua, you have to understand that Mo Shui and I are just partners in bed. We're not as close as you think. I don't have that many feelings for her, and she's just a pastime for me. We're just taking what we need. But, after her accident, I realized that I might have a chance, Jiang Yi said thoughtfully. I don't know. Mr. Jiang, what kind of chance are you talking about? Hua Min never liked Jiang Yi because he felt that Jiang Yi was a very strange person. She didn't know what he was thinking. Everything he did was weird. It was especially uncomfortable to interact with him. In the past, in order to develop his business here, he signed with Su Yu's company. Every time he saw Huamin, he would always look at him with that same undisguised gaze. Su Yu didn't like Jiang Yi, so he didn't give him any chance to get close to Huamin. Later, Jiang Yi found out that Su Yu had never promoted him. After a few years of tepid success, his contract expired half a year ago, and he returned to the capital. Huamin thought that he wouldn't come back, but he didn't expect to see him in the office half a year later. Jiang Yi took a puff of his cigarette and blew out a smoke ring. A chance to help you. Help me? Huamin still didn't quite understand what Jiang Yi meant. President Hua, you're a smart man. You should know that I've been with Mo Shui for a long time, so I know a lot. She's been entangled with Hua Xiqian for years, not only because of love, but also because of benefits. When President Hua and his wife were framed for murder, you should know who was behind it. If I can help you find evidence. Jiang Yi didn't say anything else. He just looked at Huamin meaningfully. Mr. Jiang, you should know that my husband and I have already been cleared of any wrongdoing. Someone else has already taken the blame, so this case was closed a long time ago. Whether or not you can find evidence doesn't matter to us. Huamin was extremely calm. Who said that? What if I can find evidence that Hua Xiqian killed Song Yishe? Jiang Yi asked with a smug smile. When Huamin heard this, his expression changed slightly, as if he was surprised. What do you think? President Hua, are you interested? Jiang Yi looked at Huamin, as if there was something different in his eyes. Chapter 1833. I'm interested, but there's no free lunch in this world. Tell me your conditions first. Huamin didn't think that Jiang Yi would be so kind as to help her take down Hua Xiqian so easily. There had to be some conditions. As expected, Jiang Yi smiled. President Hua is indeed a smart person. Let's not waste time. Tell me your conditions. Let's see if I can afford it. You can afford it? I won't ask for too much. How much money do you want? Huamin asked. Although you're rich, I don't want money. Then your conditions are? Huamin quietly stared at his face. I want to sleep with you. These simple but powerful words didn't surprise Huamin. Jiang Ye's feelings for her weren't new. She already had an answer in her heart, so when she heard Jiang Ye's words, she didn't feel like they were too sudden. Huh, you're quite greedy, Huamin sneered. Although I'm not an entrepreneur, I've been a celebrity for many years. I have a lot of savings, so I don't lack money. I'm already halfway through my life, and I just want to be happy. As long as it makes me happy, I'm willing to do anything. As for you, President Huamin, I'm very interested in you. Maybe you should know that when I first met you, I was attracted to you. All these years, watching you between Qin Chu, Su Yu, and Hua Xiqian, I'm even more convinced that you're not a simple woman. If I could sleep with you, even just once, it would be a great joy in my life. Jiang Ye's words were very sincere, which suited his style. He was different from Qin Chu's sincere love for Huamin. He was different from Su Yu's fanatical love for Huamin. Unlike Hua Xiqian's perverted possessiveness towards Huamin, Jiang Yi simply wanted to sleep with Huamin. He had never concealed his desire for Huamin, even when it came to something as simple and crude as sex. If it was in the past, Huamin would have lost his temper and kicked Jiang Yi out. But now that she had experienced so much, she was no longer the hot-tempered little girl she used to be. So in the face of Jiang Ye's humiliating conditions, she only smiled faintly. Jiang Yi, you're quite an interesting person. You actually dared to talk about your desires so directly. I don't like to waste everyone's time, and I don't like to beat around the bush. You might not like what I'm saying, but it's just how I do things. Jiang Yi tilted his head and looked at Huamin, his eyes filled with lust. Speaking of which, it was rather strange. Huamin wasn't extremely beautiful, and her body wasn't hot either. She didn't have big breasts and beautiful buttocks, nor did she have seductive eyes. She was just a stubborn little girl. She always did things by the book, and her personality was calm as a cucumber. However, such an inconspicuous and slightly arrogant girl was still on Jiang Ye's mind. Jiang Yi was handsome, rich, and charming. He was an expert at picking up girls, and over the years, he had slept with countless girls. He had never met a girl that he couldn't get, and the only one he couldn't get was Huamin. So, he put in a lot of effort and thought of all sorts of ways to get her. But do you think that I, Huamin, would give myself to you just to bring down Huasiqian? Jiang Yi didn't say anything, and he quietly listened to Huamin's next words. Jiang Yi, who do you think you are? You think you're worthy of me, Huamin, taking off my clothes for such a small price? Huamin's lips twitched. Chapter 1834. I know that even Su Yu, who loves you so much, couldn't get you after years of being with you, let alone me. I know I don't have a good chance of winning, but I'm a person who dares to try. You can only know if you're going to win after trying. If you don't even dare to try, then what's the point of dreaming? So, President Hua, you don't have to be angry. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. But if one day you regret it and want to come find me, I'll always welcome you. Jiang Yi stood up. Don't worry, you won't have that chance. Not in this life, not in the next life. Huamin shut him up. Jiang Yi paused, turned around, and smiled wickedly. I love it when you're arrogant. Huamin was speechless. After Jiang Yi left, Huamin went back to work. To Huamin, Jiang Yi was the one who provided evidence that Huasiqian killed Song Yishe. Even if Jiang Yi helped her kill Huasiqian, she would never give up on him. She would never give herself to him. For Huamian, when it came to sex, there was no other man in the world that could make her willingly lie down under Qin Chu. After a busy morning, Huamin video called Mr. Qin. Qin Chu was streaming the twins practicing piano, which made Huamin very happy. Mr. Qin, you're super efficient. Yeah. So, honey, do you want to compliment me? Of course, of course. Honey, you're the best. Little Bean, what does our piano skills have to do with her husband's greatness? Sis, I don't understand. Pudding, not everyone understands how Qin Chu and Huamian show off their love. Hurry up and play. If mommy sees you slacking off, you won't be able to eat ice cream tonight. Little Bean, oh my God, don't take away my little wish. Little Bean, what are you mumbling about? Huamin looked past Mr. Qin and saw Little Bean on the screen. I miss mommy so much today. If only you were here, I could play this new song for you. Little Bean said without blushing at all. Good boy. Practice well with me. Remember to put your heart into it, and not focus on technique. Got it, mommy. We'll follow your example and learn from you. Daddy said that mommy plays the piano very well. Little Bean continued to praise her. Huamin nodded in satisfaction, indicating that he enjoyed it very much. Pudding sighed and said proudly, nowadays, flatterers are really popular. Qin Chu almost laughed out loud when he heard this. Ever since they returned to the country, the haze had been swept away. The twin daughters had brought them so much joy. Qin Chu sometimes felt that these two little guys were the best gifts that God had given him. They were the proof of the deep love between him and Huamin. Honey, drive to Hilton Chinese restaurant at 6 tonight. I'll go there directly from the company. Are you having a family dinner? Not just a family dinner, but also Linglings and Xiaoweis. Oh, that's great. The more the merrier. Okay, see you tonight. Okay. President Hua, good luck. Qin Chu looked at Huamin, who was wearing a slim black suit, lovingly. Huamin was like a shy girl. She smiled shyly and said, I'll work hard. 6 p.m. at Hilton Chinese restaurant. Mommy, can I go home first? I'm so scared to see Little Bean and Pudding. The party hadn't even started yet, but Wei Yunchu was already nervous and wanted to run away. Jiang Xiaowei didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Chapter 1835. Son, you can't be so cowardly. How can a man be afraid of his little sister? They're not normal people's little sisters. They're gangsters, Wei Yunchu complained. Gangsters? Where did you hear that? Jiang Xiaowei was dumbfounded. Uncle Tang Chuan said it. He said that Little Bean and Pudding are gangsters. Yes, that's right, they're gangsters. But that damn Tang Chuan, he's slandering us again. He'll fall into the twins' hands sooner or later. Jiang Xiaowei laughed. Wei Liao booked the hotel. The Wei family had already acquired the Hilton Hotel and was preparing to enter the hotel industry. Therefore, to celebrate, Jiang Xiaowei went back to work at the Municipal Public Security Bureau. The kids were taken care of by the Wei family's nanny and Mrs. Wei. Zhu Lingling was a little sad. After giving birth to her son, Gao Buyuan, her body didn't recover. Now that she weighed 120 pounds, she couldn't be a stewardess anymore. Therefore, Gao Ran's family paid for her to open a trendy handbag studio. Zhu Lingling also had a playful attitude and created her own brand of women's handbags, Ling. She didn't expect the sales to be so good. At least she had something to do every day. Gao Ran made countless contributions in just 4 years and was promoted to the second-in-command of the Municipal Public Security Bureau. He was known as the youngest deputy director in history. Because of his good looks and high position, many women wanted to throw themselves at him. Zhu Lingling was often jealous. She even stopped him from going on Weibo. Zhu Lingling took care of it herself. Gao Ran didn't know whether to laugh or cry. When Qin Chu arrived with the twins, Huamin wasn't there yet. Everyone else was already waiting in the private room, Wei Liao and Gao Ran's families. Little Bean and Pudding, let Auntie Lingling hug you. Zhu Lingling truly liked the twins, even more so than Jiang Xiaowei. Perhaps it was because of her personality. So every time she saw him, she would hug and kiss him. Honey, control yourself. Look at Pudding's disgusted face. You're spitting on her face, Gao Ran laughed. Don't talk nonsense. Little Bean loves me. Zhu Lingling rolled her eyes at Gao Ran. Gao Buyuan hid behind his father, not daring to step forward. Little brother Buyuan, you're here too. Come, let's play. Little Bean looked at Gao Buyuan as if she had discovered a new continent. Gao Buyuan was so scared that he kept stepping back. He couldn't walk steadily and had to be supported. However, his actions and consciousness were already muddled. It seemed that he was also very afraid of the twins. Qin Chu, did you see that? Your daughter is a gangster. Even Yun Chu and Buyuan don't dare to approach her. Gao Ran chuckled. Once, my daughter is in the mafia, which is even higher than the mafia, okay? Qin Chu patted Little Bean's head lovingly and smiled. You're so proud of yourself. Qin Chu, where's Mion? Jiang Xiaowei asked. She should be here soon. I just called because she was stuck in traffic. As soon as he finished speaking, Huamin opened the door and walked in. Then, he placed his bag on the table. Sorry, I'm not late, right? No, you're just in time. Let's start eating. Wei Liao smiled and called the waiter over. Then, the three families sat down together, feeling touched. Before anyone could speak, Little Bean glanced around and said, Everyone's here, but why isn't handsome Su here? After saying that, everyone looked embarrassed. Before Qin Chu came back, Wei Liao would invite Su Yu to every family gathering. Most of the time, Su Yu would pay the bill. Huamin never invited Su Yu because he didn't want to be too close to him. However, Su Yu enjoyed it. Now that the twins' father was back, Su Yu naturally wouldn't come. Your Uncle Su just recovered and is still recovering, so he won't be coming, Wei Liao explained. Qin Chu didn't want everyone to feel awkward, so he glanced at Gao Ran and changed the topic. Is there any progress on Immerse's case? Did Huo Xiqian bail her out? Chapter 1836. Not yet. From the looks of it, Huo Xiqian won't bail her out. After all, the Huo Xiqian already announced that Immerse is insignificant to them, Gao Ran analyzed. But this incident will have a huge impact on the Huo Corporation. After all, she's the most popular girl in the Huo Corporation. Also, the movie that's about to be released will be banned. The stock market will also fluctuate. Huo Xiqian will lose a lot of money, Wei Liao interrupted. This is nothing to Huo Xiqian. This is just the beginning, Qin Chu said faintly. Mr. Qin, did you do this? Zhu Lingling finally understood the crux of their conversation. Before Qin Chu could speak, Huamin explained with a smile. Mr. Qin just found the right opportunity. Immerse has been doing drugs for years. Someone was covering for her before. Now that she's exposed, it's not my husband's fault. Yeah, my husband did well this time. Emo shui, that bitch should have been in jail a long time ago. Zhu Lingling patted Gao Ran's shoulder proudly. Yun Chu, why are you sitting in your mom's arms? Come down and play with your brothers and sisters. Huamin teased Wei Yun Chu, who was in Jiang Xiaowei's arms, with a smile. Auntie Huamin, I don't want to go down. Why not? Because I'm scared of Little Bean and Pudding. Did they bully you? Tell me, I'll teach them a lesson. They keep asking me who's prettier. I'm so annoyed. After Wei Yunchu said this, everyone burst into laughter. Qin Chu, take care of your daughters. Our son can't even talk yet, but they've already traumatized him, Gao Ran said with a smile as he hugged his son. Gao Bui, how can boys be bullied by girls? You guys are really... Zhu Lingling said helplessly. Huamin turned around and glanced at Pudding. You're the older sister, tell me what happened. Didn't mommy tell you not to bully Big Brother? We didn't bully him. We trust Big Brother's taste, that's why we asked if she's prettier. If it wasn't of our business, we wouldn't ask, Pudding answered matter-of-factly. Before Huamian could say anything, Little Bean said, but Big Brother, we're always equally beautiful. Of course we feel uncomfortable. I'm obviously the prettier one. Big Brother? I didn't. Pudding, Little Pudding, of Pudding, Pudding of why Pudding, tea play. Anihua, don't believe her. Wei Yunchu took the opportunity to complain. Tea what? Tea tess of she of? She rubbed her saliva all over your face because she likes you. Isn't that how adults kiss when they're dating? Little Bean said innocently. Everyone was dumbfounded. Qin Chu's forehead was covered in cold sweat. It seemed like he had to change his daughter's habit of shocking people with her words. Otherwise, her parents would be embarrassed. Son, did you kiss Little Bean? Wei Liao was also shocked by Huamian's words. Wei Yunchu felt wronged. Dad, don't listen to Little Bean's nonsense. She said she rubbed her saliva all over my face. She rubbed her saliva on her finger and rubbed it on my face. It's not the same as dating and kissing. Don't mislead everyone. His son calmly explained what happened while he was still angry. Jiang Xiaowei laughed hysterically. Mommy, is it that funny? Your son is being bullied. Chapter 1837. Son, you used the word mislead very well. Have you improved your language skills? Jiang Xiaowei asked with a smile. Wei Yunchu looked at his mother, dumbfounded. It seemed like his mother's focus wasn't on whether or not he was being bullied. Pudding, your sister is so ridiculous. Why don't you do something about it? Mommy, even you can't do anything about it. You want me to? You think too highly of me. Pudding sipped her juice unhurriedly. Huamin was speechless. Mr. Qin, look at your daughters. Huamin couldn't take it anymore. They're still young. There's no need to rush. Qin Chu smiled gently. They're not young. They don't look like they're 3 years old. If you don't do something about it now, do you think you'll have a chance to do something about it in the future? Gao Ran teased. Little Bean glanced at Gao Ran. She rolled her eyes and asked curiously, Uncle Gao, the other day when we were on our way back from piano lessons, we saw a beautiful woman in a police uniform sitting in the passenger seat of your Jaguar. Is she a new intern at the city bureau? Gao Ran was speechless. When did that happen? Great, Gao Ran, you're getting bolder now. Zhu Lingling couldn't stay calm anymore. Hey, Little Bean, don't talk nonsense. It'll cause a family conflict. Gao Ran didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Could it be that I saw wrongly? Sis, did you see her? Little Bean turned around and looked at Pudding. I saw her too. She was smiling at Uncle Gao. She was young and pretty. But it's normal. Uncle Gao is the deputy director now. Those female police officers would jump on him when they see him. You two are trying to kill me. Gao Ran couldn't laugh anymore. Gao Ran, tell me. What female police officer? What intern? Zhu Lingling pinched his arm tightly. Hey, honey, don't pinch me. It's not what you think. My colleague from the Municipal Public Security Bureau was about to be late for work. Then he saw my car and took 2 stops. Who would believe you? I'll teach you a lesson when we get home. Zhu Lingling was furious. Qin Chu, your daughter? Gao Ran was truly helpless. Before he could finish, Little Bean continued, Uncle Gao, I saw him the other day. All right, all right, all right. Little Bean, don't say anything. Listen to me first. After saying that, Gao Ran glanced at Qin Chu and gave him a thumbs up. Qin Chu, you've raised these two daughters well. They're smart and cute. They're the best in the world. Hearing that it was a compliment, Little Bean immediately changed her words. That day, when I saw that Uncle Gao's phone was filled with Auntie Lingling's photos, I thought that Uncle Gao must really love Auntie Lingling. They're all my photos? Zhu Lingling obviously didn't believe it. Yup. That day, I used Uncle Gao's phone to play Do Di Zhu and accidentally found them. Zhu Lingling smiled shyly. Damn cop, at least you still have a conscience. Gao Ran finally let out a sigh of relief. He felt like he was on a roller coaster just now. The twins of the Qin family were very mischievous and quick-witted. Most importantly, he couldn't mess with them. But wait, you're smart. You don't talk much at every gathering and don't cause trouble. Gao Ran glanced at Wei Liao and said meaningfully. Even if I can't mess with them, I can still avoid them. Wei Liao laughed. Pudding Little Bean, don't bully your brothers anymore. If I hear Yun Chu complain again, humph. Huamin sneered. Chapter 1838. Pudding raised her head and looked at Wei Yun Chu meaningfully. Then, she turned around and smiled at her mother. Don't worry, Big Brother will never tell on you again. Why do I feel like Pudding's words are weird? Jiang Xiaowei couldn't help but laugh. Mommy, let's go home. It's so scary. Wei Yunchu hugged Jiang Xiaowei's neck tightly. Pudding and Little Bean's two-faced nature was on full display at the party. Qin Chu was naturally proud, but Huamin was a bit worried. After the party, the family of four drove back to South Hill Manor. The twins were tired and had fallen asleep in the back seat. Honey, yeah? Do you think our babies will grow up to be gangsters? Huamin asked worriedly. Qin Chu chuckled when he heard this. What are you laughing at? Huamin was confused. Honey, you're thinking too much. They're still young. Besides, they're not evil by nature. They're just a bit overbearing, two-faced, and vengeful. My goodness. Isn't that enough? They're girls. Their tempers will get bigger in the future. What will happen then? Pudding and Little Bean are indeed strong-willed, Qin Chu analyzed as he drove. They're not like me or you in this aspect. They're like their auntie, Qin Chu blurted out. Like their auntie? Huamin's heart raced every time he heard news about his sister. Lu Yan's personality is like this. She's cranky, hot-tempered, high-profile, and hates evil. Most importantly, she's not afraid of anything. She doesn't dare to mess with anyone. Qin Chu recalled that he had met Lu Yan and chatted with her when he was operating on Xiao Fei in Moscow. Although they didn't have much contact, there were too many rumors about Lu Yan in the world of martial arts. She was too amazing. Yenner is only 20 years old. From what you said, she's been living such a life since she was young. Actually, my heart aches for her. At least compared to her, I'm the luckier one. At least my life is stable. That's why your father didn't dare to look for you all these years even though he knew where you were. Life is really quite mysterious. Even biological sisters have different fates. If we were in each other's shoes, I don't think I would be able to hold on. I really don't know how Yenner has been through all these years. When water reaches a dead end, it becomes a waterfall. When people reach a dead end, they will be reborn. Perhaps it's because of that harsh living environment that Lu Yan is so outstanding. Does Yenner look like me? Huamin couldn't help but ask. She doesn't look like you, but her personality is similar to yours, for example. Huamin looked at Qin Chu curiously. She's stubborn. She can persevere no matter what. Lu Yan must have had faith in herself all these years. I really don't know when I'll be able to see her. Huamin's gaze was warm. Thinking that he still had a sister alive in this world, he suddenly felt that life was full of surprises. Not too long. Once we get rid of Ian, everyone will be happy. I think that's what the professor hopes for as well. The car sped through the night. Rio de Janeiro, South America, Lu Yen wore a fiery red dress and appeared at a celebrity business dinner party. She effortlessly switched between English and Portuguese. People seemed to be quite interested in this Asian girl with exquisite looks. Boss? Everything is ready. The explosion will happen in 10 minutes. We can leave now, a waiter in a waiter's uniform whispered in her ear. Okay. Lu Yen smiled slightly with a glass of red wine in her hand. Then she quickly walked out. Long time no see. Lu Yen didn't expect to run into this guy just as she was about to reach the exit. Moreover, he appeared in front of her without any warning. She didn't even receive a single message. Hi, Yen. Lu Yen helplessly greeted him. She wasn't crazy enough to ignore the life and death of her subordinates. 10 minutes later, Lu Yen and her subordinates were taken onto Ian's private jet. I still like to look at you face to face like this. You're so charming when you're quiet, Ian said in fluent German. Lu Yen lowered her head and didn't say anything. She kept trimming her nails with a nail clipper, completely ignoring Ian. This was something no one would dare to do. In the eyes of Ian's subordinates, it was simply disobedience. But Ian liked Lu Yen's fearless personality. Ian, I'm thirsty. I want some red wine. Chapter 1840. Lu Yen didn't like to drink water. When she was thirsty, she would drink red wine, cocktails, beer, and all kinds of alcohol like water. She was very tough. Carl, bring me some red wine. Ian was in a good mood and called out to the butler behind him. The old man named Carl carefully brought over a bottle of red wine. He opened it and poured 2 glasses. Lu Yen picked up the red wine and looked at Ian. Then she tilted her head back and drank it. Ian smiled as he picked up the red wine and sipped it. Suddenly, he felt his whole body go numb. Do you feel like you can't move? Lu Yen smiled. What did you do to me? Ian was terrified. Just then, the old man named Carl beside Ian slowly tore off the human skin mask on his face. Dad, you're good at acting. Lu Yen looked at the old man and smiled like a flower. Teach me. Ian looked at the old man in disbelief. As soon as Ian said the word, Professor, dozens of AK-47s were pointed at Lu Yen and the professor's heads. You better not move. Ian is poisoned and only I can cure him. The professor's words were never a joke. He was a genius doctor and a master of poison. Everyone knew that. Ian caught Lu Yen this time because he was careless and didn't expect Professor Lu to come along. He even disguised himself as the old butler, Carl. The red wine was poisoned. Lu Yen was fine, but he was poisoned. Don't look at me like that, Ian. I've been playing with my dad's poison since I was a child. I'm immune to all kinds of poisons. Lu Yen smiled. When she got on the plane and saw Carl, she knew something was wrong. It was a secret signal between her and her dad. That was why she said she was thirsty and wanted to drink. Ian was about to lose consciousness. He couldn't move his body and just sat there in a daze like a doll. The antidote, or we'll all die here, Ian said with difficulty. I can give you the antidote, but we have to leave first. Professor Lu's voice was hoarse. Okay. Ian seemed to be very obedient. Open the cabin. We're going to parachute down. Dad, why aren't they parachuting? We're taking the plane, Lu Yen complained. Don't tell me you want to go to Germany when you get off the plane and continue to be hunted down? The professor glanced at his daughter faintly. Lu Yen was speechless. Indeed, the older the ginger, the wiser the ginger, the wiser the ginger. I have the antidote with me. Drink it, and you'll recover in 10 minutes. Why should I believe you? What if you run away and the antidote is fake? Ian seemed to be worried. You don't have a choice. Why don't we all die here? You get poisoned first, and then your men shoot us. What do you think? Professor Lu looked at Ian and smiled. Ian's expression immediately turned ugly. He knew that Professor Lu wouldn't scare people, and he would definitely do what he said. Ian, you have 8 minutes to consider. Even if I give you the antidote after 8 minutes, you will die from the poison. Everyone is so busy, you better make a decision quickly. Lu Yen was really arrogant. In the end, Ian only thought about it quietly for a few seconds. Then he gritted his teeth and slowly said, "You guys, open the cabin and get the parachutes." "Boss, are we really going to let them go?" His subordinates didn't seem convinced. "Shut up all of you. Carry out my orders." Ian couldn't laugh anymore. 2 minutes later, Lu Yen and her subordinates jumped first. Professor Lu was the last to jump. Before he jumped, he kept his promise and threw the antidote to Ian. After the three of them landed, Lu Yen took off the parachute and walked over to help her dad up. "Dad, why are you suddenly here? You're my savior," Lu Yen exclaimed. Chapter 1841. I've been paying attention to Ian's whereabouts and found out that he came to Brazil. I also knew that something was wrong when you were in Brazil, so I disguised myself as one of his people when he wasn't paying attention. Smart, but, Dad, why didn't you just poison him to death and give him another bag of poison? If people like Ian don't die, we'll never have a good life. Do you think we'll have a good life if we kill him? If he dies, we'll be hunted down even more. The German mafia and terrorist organizations won't let us go. Ian does have to die, but not now. Then, Professor Lu got up and walked forward. "Boss, we're still in Rio de Janeiro, where are we going next?" Lu Yan's subordinate asked her after taking out the GPS. "Let's go home. I'm never coming back to this damned place. If it weren't for my dad, I would be a prisoner by now. This time, it was indeed very dangerous. I've told you many times not to take orders recklessly. You have so much money that you won't be able to spend it all in your next life. Why are you still looking at money? Aren't I going to save more for my twin nieces?" Professor Lu's eyes softened at the mention of twins. "They're 3 years old this year, right?" "Yeah, they just celebrated their 3rd birthday. Chin Chu already went back. Don't worry about things in China. My sister is doing very well. She's just a famous entrepreneur now." Lu Yen knew Huamin's situation like the back of her hand. "Do you have a picture? Let me see." Lu Yen turned on her watch, opened the picture, and enlarged it. Professor Lu looked at the picture of Huamin and her 2 daughters, and a strong sense of affection appeared in his eyes. Although Huamin wasn't by his side when she was young, Professor Lu had never forgotten about her. "If your mom saw this, she would be very happy. She's living a peaceful and happy life now, which is exactly what your mom wants to see. Yeah, I actually envy my sister. I really hope she can live like this forever. I'm sorry I didn't give you a stable life all these years." Professor Lu's white sideburns indicated that he was getting older. Looking at his younger daughter, he actually felt sorry for her. Although they were father and daughter, they only saw each other a few times a year. Every time they met, they would bid each other farewell in a hurry. "Why are you talking about this? I'm already used to it. Actually, it's pretty good. At least I've learned a lot of survival skills. I've seen a lot of insomnia, and I've killed a lot of enemies. Compared to my sister's calmness, my life has been more exciting. After I succeed in my experiment, I'll find a chance to kill Ian. Then, you can marry Xiao Fei and stop running around. Your mercenary group will be disbanded and you'll quit this business. After all, you're a girl. Fighting and killing isn't your final destination." "Oh, that's a long time ago. I'm only in my early 20s. Why would I get married?" Lu Yen always tried to avoid marrying Xiao Fei. Suddenly, Professor Lu's phone rang. He looked at his watch. Xiao Fei's image was reflected. "Uncle Lu, how are you?" "Very good. Yen has been successfully rescued." "Don't worry. That's good. Do you want to talk to her?" Professor Lu asked. "No need. I still have something to do. That's all." She didn't expect Xiao Fei to hang up just like that. How heartless. Damn it. That psycho. He didn't even say a word to me. Lu Yen bit her lips. "I think you made him angry." Professor Lu knew his daughter's personality well. Lu Yen didn't say anything. She looked down and tried to recall what made Psycho Qiao so angry. He didn't even want to talk to her. Chapter 1842. Before she came to Brazil, Xiao Fei told her not to run around. It wasn't peaceful recently, so he told her to stay at the Qiao family's house in Moscow. He even said he would cook special Russian food for her, but Lu Yen didn't care about that at all. When Xiao Fei went back to the family headquarters to deal with business, she ran away. Then, she took a job and flew to Brazil. Xiao Fei didn't want to talk to her. Angry? I'm the one who's angry. I saved his life. If I didn't find my brother-in-law to operate on him a few years ago, he wouldn't be alive now, Lu Yen said matter-of-factly. Why don't you think about it? Who did he get shot a few years ago? Her dad's words made Lu Yen speechless. Don't say, I don't have time to save you next time. I'm telling you, don't take jobs anymore. Go back to the island or stay at the Qiao family's house in Moscow. It's safe there. Dad, I want to go back to China. I want to see my sister and the twins. You're acting up again, aren't you? Professor Lu looked at his daughter helplessly. I really want to see my sister and her pair of beautiful nieces. You'll have a chance, but not now. Lu Yen, I'm telling you, if you bring danger to yourself and your sister because of your stubbornness, I'll never forgive you. Then, Professor Lu turned around and left. Lu Yen pouted and wanted to express her dissatisfaction. Boss, let's go back. Go away. Don't talk to me. Lu Yen was in a bad mood. Why was it so hard to see her sister? Why hadn't she had a chance in all these years? It was a miracle that she could hold it in for so long with her fiery personality. At South Hill Manor, after piano practice, the twins sat in the living room and played. Pudding liked to read all kinds of news on the internet, so she quietly browsed through the news on her tablet. Little Bean liked to eat. She was eating an orange as she watched TV. When Chin Chu came downstairs, he saw the sisters in such harmony. Unfortunately, it wasn't Pleasant Goat and Big Bad Wolf or Boonie Bears on TV. Instead, it was a variety show that had been very popular in the country recently. Run, Brother, Little Bean, you like this show? Yeah. I like Big Brother Xiaolu. Little Bean was infatuated. Brother Xiaolu? Chin Chu was confused. Pudding glanced at Little Bean and replied calmly, Daddy, ignore her. She's talking about celebrities. Well, it seems that Daddy is out. Chin Chu smiled helplessly and sat in the empty seat between the two sisters. Where's Mommy? She's still busy, she still has to deal with some company matters. Daddy, are you really going to live off her? Little Bean looked at Chin Chu sympathetically. What? Are you going to look down on Daddy as well? Mommy works to support the family while Daddy cooks and takes care of you at home. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel weird. Little Bean looked at her daddy in confusion. Pudding, you don't want Daddy to be home with you guys every day? No, I'm fine. The problem is, Daddy, won't you be bored staying with us like this? Pudding asked calmly. No, Chin Chu answered without hesitation. If you don't think it's boring, then it's fine. I don't care. Pudding, what news are you watching? Nothing. I'm just looking at the stock market. I heard that 2 families in the real estate industry are getting married. I think their stocks will definitely rise. I'm going to buy some and sell it when it reaches the upper limit. You invest in stocks? Chin Chu looked at Pudding in disbelief. Thomas, I use Mommy's account. Mommy will give me 100,000 yuan. She won't give me a lot. I'm just doing it for fun. Are you making money or losing money? Chin Chu was immediately interested. Chapter 1843. Little Bean peeled off a piece of orange and stuffed it into Chin Chu's mouth. Daddy, you don't know my sister at all. Why would she lose money? With her IQ, she won't be satisfied until she wins 10 times over. So our Pudding is an expert in the stock market? Chin Chu chuckled. Pudding calmly logged into her account and showed Chin Chu the current balance in the stock market. It wasn't the 100,000 yuan Hua Min gave her. It was 8 million yuan. It wasn't as simple as a 10-fold increase. Good job, girl. Chin Chu patted Pudding's head lovingly. Daddy, I'm here too? Pudding immediately leaned her head on Chin Chu's shoulder and whined. Little Bean is great too. Suddenly, Chin Chu thought of something and asked softly, Pudding, Little Bean, do you want to see your grandparents? We've seen them before, Pudding answered calmly. You've seen them before? Chin Chu was slightly surprised. When we were little, Mommy would show us pictures every day. Daddy was the one she saw the most, then Grandpa and Grandma. Oh, there was also a short-haired auntie. Right, we should call her Auntie, right? Pudding thought hard. Yes, Auntie. That's your Auntie Chin name. Yeah, so we're all familiar with each other. Daddy, Auntie is so pretty. The Chin family's genes are so strong. Other than Mommy, everyone else is a beauty queen, Little Bean said with a smile. Your mommy is beautiful too. Chin Chu smiled. Yeah, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. In Daddy's eyes, Mommy is the most beautiful woman in the world. Pudding praised. Daddy, does Auntie Chin have a boyfriend? Pudding suddenly asked. Not yet, I haven't heard her mention one. Chin Chu thought carefully and realized that he hadn't heard Ning Ning talk about a boyfriend. Oh, I see. Pudding nodded thoughtfully. What? Do you have any plans? Chin Chu looked at Pudding and thought she wouldn't ask this for no reason. Unexpectedly, Pudding smiled mysteriously and replied perfunctorily, nothing. Chin Chu saw this but didn't ask any more questions. Instead, he continued, when your mommy isn't so busy, I'll take you two to the States. We'll go visit your grandparents and auntie, okay? Of course. But I heard it's a long flight to the States. I don't know if I can handle it, Little Bean complained. She looked especially adorable. Pudding, on the other hand, was as calm as ever. I'll leave it to you, Daddy. She played with the two little guys in the living room for a while until they were sleepy and went back to sleep. Chin Chu went upstairs. When Chin Chu entered the bedroom, Huamin had already taken a shower and was lying down. He was still reading the company's relevant information in his hand. Wifey, are they asleep? Mom took them back to visit. They look sleepy. The two little devils. They're so quiet every day. I can't keep them company. It's okay. Just work. I'll keep them company. Chin Chu walked over and sat on the edge of the bed. Huamin leaned over and rested her head on his shoulder. Honey, I want to talk to you about something. Okay. You didn't ask me anything, you just said okay. Huamin looked up and smiled. Whatever you say, wifey. Honey, if you were an emperor in ancient times, you'd be a fatuous ruler. It's okay. I'm willing to be a fatuous ruler for you. I'm not afraid of being despised by the world. Tisk tsk? I'm surprised that Mr. Chin knows how to sweet talk. You don't like it? Chin Chu looked down at Huamin gently. I like it. I like it a lot. Huamin smiled shyly and nestled in Chin Chu's arms. So, honey, can you tell me what it is now? Chapter 1844. I'm so forgetful. I almost forgot. Auntie Sue just called and said that Lord Sue and Uncle Sue missed the twins. Tomorrow is Saturday, so they want us to bring the kids over for dinner. I also prepared a gift for the Sue family. I'm going to bring it over. Gift? What did you prepare? Lord Sue and the others aren't snobbish people. You don't have to give them something expensive. Huamin was a little worried. Don't worry. I know the Sue family doesn't lack money. They won't give you anything expensive. It's just a small gift. I'll take care of it. Huamin nodded. When the company isn't so busy, I plan to take you guys back to the States. Mom and Dad miss the kids very much. You should have gone a long time ago. I know you're worried that it'll be inconvenient for Mom and Dad to come back. You're afraid that Huasiqian will do something to them, so going to the States is the best way. Chin Chu gently stroked Huamin's long hair. He was very happy that Huamin understood what he meant. No problem. It's time for Mom and Dad to see the kids. How's Dad? Not so good. I've been working hard ever since the surgery. I can only rely on some medicine. Huamin frowned slightly. Dad has already gotten over it. Don't be too sad. Life and death are fated, I know. I hope Dad can stay with us for a few more years and watch the twins grow up, Huamin said slowly. Ever since Chin Chu came back, Huamin's sleep became very good. He had never slept so deeply in years. Now, he slept soundly in Su Yu's arms every day. His mental state was also very good. Huamin greedily hoped that he and Chin Chu could stay like this forever and never be separated again. 11 years was already a huge test for them. Not many people in the world could be together after being separated for so long. It was easy to imagine how difficult it was for their relationship to come about. Looking at Huamin sleeping soundly, Qin Chu leaned over and gently kissed him. "Good night, my girl." In his eyes, Huamin would always be the little girl from more than 10 years ago. That arrogant genius girl. Every time he saw Huamin and the twins, Qin Chu felt that all the pain he had suffered before was worth it. Late at night, he quietly got up, picked up his phone, and stood in the corridor to make a call. The following dialogue was in English. "What's the situation over there?" "Everything's calm. Nothing's happened." "Have you investigated it thoroughly?" "Everything is clear. I think we can make a move at any time. After a while, I will bring my wife and son back to America. Don't expose your identity. Don't let my wife find out. She's very smart. I'll contact you when I get back. Don't call me for the time being. That's all." After Qin Chu finished speaking, he hung up the phone. When he was on the phone, he deliberately lowered his voice as if he didn't want anyone to hear. After hanging up the phone, Qin Chu turned around and walked back to his room. He didn't seem to notice that there was someone downstairs at this time of night. At this moment, Jixin, who was drinking water in the pantry upstairs, had a strange expression on his face. The glass of water in his hand trembled slightly. "Brother-in-law, he's indeed a little strange this time. Why did he call behind my back? He also said that he didn't want my sister to know. Could it be that he has a mistress in America?" Jixin was shocked when he thought of this. Chapter 1845. The next morning, it was the weekend, so Jixin and Huamin didn't have to go to work at GK. The family sat around the breakfast table and enjoyed a sumptuous breakfast. Qin Chu's Western food was very authentic and the twins loved it, so he always cooked for them. He made fried eggs, sausages, cheese rolls, and honey butter croissants, all of which tasted very authentic. The twins slowly drank their milk. "Ming, it's the weekend, are you going out?" Yang Meirong asked. "I don't have anything to do this morning, but we'll visit the Su family in the afternoon. Mrs. Su invited us to dinner. She said that Lord Su misses the twins." "That's good. The Su family has taken care of us for so long, and they have feelings for the twins. We should visit them more often. We don't want people to say that we're ungrateful." "Mom, I know, don't worry." Jixin ate slowly and didn't say anything, but he glanced at Qin Chu a few times. "Jixin, why do you keep looking at your brother-in-law?" Huamin asked. Qin Chu was feeding his daughter's ham, so he didn't notice Jixin's gaze. Upon hearing Huamin's words, he raised his head and looked at Jixin, confused. "I wanted to ask, my brother-in-law is so handsome. In the years that you were separated from my sister, in the States, in Seattle, right? Did you have any suitors?" Jixin laughed, but his voice was a little unnatural, perhaps because he felt guilty. "Oh, my little brother wanted to ask, Mr. Qin, did you attract girls?" Huamin tilted his head and looked at Qin Chu with a faint smile. Qin Chu's answer was very short, which suited his indifferent and arrogant temperament. "I trust Daddy. He's not that kind of person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come back to the States to marry Mommy after studying abroad for 7 years. Uncle, your question is very pointless. Is it because you've been too stressed at work lately? Here, have another fried egg. It'll give you more nutrients." Little Bean picked up the fried egg with a fork and put it on Jixin's plate. "Jixin, Uncle, did you find something? You're not a suspicious person. It's weird that you're suddenly asking about Daddy." Pudding was very calm as she analyzed her uncle's strange behavior. Jixin was so scared that he quickly waved his hands. "No, I really didn't. I was just asking. I was just curious, Qin Chu looked serious. He glanced at Jixin and then at Huamin. "Other than Mian, I'm not interested in any woman." His domineering words cleared up all doubts and expressed his determination to Huamin. "Well, Daddy and Mommy are showing off their love so early in the morning. How cruel." Little Bean licked the cream off the corner of her mouth and smirked. Pudding calmly took a sip of milk and chimed in, "You'll see this kind of scene often in the future. Don't make a fuss. You have to get used to it." "Huamin, Jixin, why are you talking about this?" Your brother-in-law isn't that kind of person. If people don't know any better, they might think that we're suspicious of him. If you have the energy to do your job, you should help your sister, or find yourself a partner. Don't think about all this nonsense, Yang Meirong scolded. I know, Jixin was scolded in the face. He pursed his lips and didn't dare to say anything else. However, he made a mental note to himself. After all, it wasn't that he didn't trust his brother-in-law, it was just that he thought it was a little strange. In the afternoon, Qin Chu drove the black Bentley Continental. He took the twins and Huamin to the Su family mansion. As soon as the twins entered the Su family mansion, they immediately ran to Lord Su, who was sitting on the sofa. Great-grandpa, we missed you so much. Pudding, who was never good at acting cute, was no longer cold. Chapter 1846. Great-grandpa, did you miss me? Little Bean began to act cute, determined to surpass her sister. Of course, Great-grandpa misses you, you two little fellas. When Lord Su saw the twins, his heart almost melted. Back then, after Huamin gave birth, she stayed with the Su family for a month. At that time, the two babies were still young and didn't know anything. Lord Su and Mr. Su fought to hold them. They were very affectionate. Although they weren't related by blood, their relationship was very deep. In the next few years, Huamin would occasionally visit the Su family and bring the children home for dinner. When the two babies were tired of playing, they would stay with the Su family. With Lady Su watching over them, they were no different from her own children. Perhaps it was because Lord Su was old, but in front of the two little guys, he didn't have the dignity of a military commander at all. All that was left was amiable. Pudding once said that Su Yu's great-grandfather was a stubborn but cute old man. Little Bean, on the other hand, flattered him and said that Su Yu's great-grandfather was the best great-grandfather in the world. Huamin and Qin Chu followed behind them. Hello, Master Lord Su. Hello, Master Lord Su. Come, sit down you two. Master Lord Su stood up and said politely. At this moment, Mrs. Su and Mr. Su walked down from upstairs. You came at the right time. You guys talk first. I'll go to the kitchen to prepare the dishes. After speaking, Lady Su went straight into the kitchen. Mr. Su walked over and sat down. The twins pounced on him again and began to act cute. Mr. Su, who had always been serious and old-fashioned, had a happy smile on his face. Mion, have you been busy with work recently? Lord Su asked. It's fine, not very busy. Qin Chu, you have to help your wife. Don't let her work too hard. Lord Su is right. I just came back and am not familiar with anything. I'll get used to it slowly. You'll feel bad for your wife. Huamin shyly retorted. Qin Chu smiled but didn't say anything. By the way, Lord Su, this is for you. Please accept it. After saying that, Qin Chu took out a painting tube from behind him and handed it over. What are you doing? Between us, we don't need these things. Master Lord Su seemed to dislike gifts. Huamin immediately explained, Lord Su, please take a look first. This isn't expensive, but it's a gift from Qin Chu. Master Lord Su opened the painting tube doubtfully. He took out the flower scroll and opened it. Then he was slightly stunned. This is? It's not made by a famous master, nor is it an antique. I just heard that Master Lord Su really likes the authentic works of Su Zilin, a painter from the Republic of China. He studied abroad in America. Back then, he had a hard time, so he sold a few of his works in America. I was lucky enough to buy one of them, so I gave it to Master Lord Su. It's really not expensive. When Mr. Su heard this, he immediately leaned forward to take a look. He was also a little shocked. Rumor has it that Master Su Zilin is a man of integrity. He rarely sells his paintings. If he hits it off, he'll give it to others. It's basically impossible to buy it in China. I remember that the curator of the Pingqing Museum used to be close friends with him. There's one of his paintings in the museum. The rest are hard to come by. Master Su was troubled by love and became a monk in his middle age. That's why his paintings are no longer circulating. I heard that there are a few paintings overseas, but they can't be bought with money. It's really rare that you were able to buy it. After saying this, Mr. Su raised his head and looked at Qin Chu in disbelief. How did you get such a difficult thing to get your hands on? That's amazing. Chapter 1847. It's a coincidence. A friend of mine in the States knows the seller. They're foreigners and don't understand the profoundness of Chinese paintings, so there's no point in keeping it. He wants to sell it and I want to buy it. I've already had it appraised and it's authentic. I hope Master Lord Su will like it, Qin Chu said sincerely. Lord Su held the scroll and couldn't bear to put it down. I heard that he painted the portrait of a gentleman a long time ago. I didn't think that after so many years, I'd be lucky enough to see it. I can die without regrets. I heard that he painted the portrait of a gentleman when he was traveling with his friends in Maishan. It's one of his most satisfying paintings. It's indeed the style of a great master. The style is fresh and the strokes are vigorous and powerful. Most importantly, it's rare to see the elegance and nobility of plum, orchid, chrysanthemum, bamboo. It's not easy to paint the essence of a painting. I'm glad you like it, Master Lord Su. Huamin smiled. I like it. Of course I like it. You're such a thoughtful child. Lord Su looked at Qin Chu approvingly. It's nothing. I'm glad you like it. Then, Qin Chu picked up the square brocade box that he had prepared and pushed it in front of Mr. Su. I get a gift too? Mr. Su asked with a rare kind expression. Uncle Su, take a look first. Huamin smiled mysteriously. Mr. Su slowly opened the brocade box and looked at the ink-black inkstone inside. It was so beautiful that it could topple a city. It seems like you've done your research on my preferences. Did Suyu tell you this? Mr. Su picked up the inkstone and couldn't bear to put it down. No, Suyu wouldn't tell me. I guessed it myself. I've been to your study and saw that you have the most inkstones in your collection. Huamin pursed his lips and smiled. As the saying goes, one must cater to a person's preferences when giving a gift. It wasn't the price, but the intention. When Mr. Su picked up the back of the inkstone, he was a little surprised. There are words. It looks like Preface to the Orchid Pavilion, Mr. Su exclaimed. Uncle Su, you have good eyesight. Although this inkstone isn't made of the best material, the craftsmanship is very complicated. It was made by a modern master, Feng Hongqing. It's 196 centimeters long, 118 centimeters wide, and 16 centimeters thick. There are as many as 168 stone eyes on the inkstone. It's one of a kind in the world. The pattern is carved in the style of Ming Dynasty's blue and white, and the engraving on the back is indeed Wang Shiji's preface to the Orchid Pavilion. Therefore, this inkstone is named Elegant Charm of the Orchid Pavilion, Qin Chu explained patiently. Elegant Orchid Courtyard. Not bad. Good name, I like it. Similarly, this isn't expensive, because it's a modern piece. So, Uncle Su, you don't have to feel burdened. The reason why I bought it is because I think the craftsmanship is pretty good. It's passable, and it's just a small token of my appreciation. I hope Uncle Su doesn't mind. Qin Chu spoke slowly. Mr. Su raised his head with admiration in his eyes. Qin Chu, you're about the same age as our you, but you're so knowledgeable about these things. It's clear that you've seen a lot. Uncle Su, you flatter me. Back then, my father was also very interested in these things. I've been influenced by him since I was young. I just know a little bit, Qin Chu said modestly. At this moment, Little Bean's eyes rolled around and she asked in a childish voice, Daddy, you bought gifts for Great-Grandpa and Lord Su. What about Grandma Su? Grandma Su won't have any, right? That would be very awkward. Daddy, you don't favor boys over girls, do you? Little Bean's words made everyone laugh. Just then, Mrs. Su walked out of the kitchen and asked, Little Bean, what gift did you get for Grandma Su? Come let me see. Auntie Su, your gift is here. Huamin stood up with a smile and held up a beautifully wrapped big box in his hands. Chapter 1848. Oh, Little Bean was right, there's a gift for me. Lady Su smiled as she took the box. Then she walked over and sat down beside Huamin. She slowly opened the box in front of everyone. Inside was a light blue qipao. It was sewn with golden thread and looked luxurious. The most important thing was that the material was light and delicate. It was obviously a top-grade piece. Actually, Qin Chu gave me this material a few days ago. I asked someone to sew it according to your figure. There are 2 batches of material and I made one for my mother. My mother likes simple and elegant things, so I gave her a dark green one. Auntie Sue has always had an extraordinary aura and is as elegant as an orchid. That's why I thought it would be perfect for you. You only know how to flatter me. But this qipao is so beautiful. The most important thing is that the material doesn't look like ordinary material. Lady Sue gently touched the material of the qipao. She had worn countless qipaos over the years. Whenever it was a traditional festival, she would wear a traditional Chinese qipao. Her aura was indescribable. Therefore, she was very knowledgeable about material. She looked at it and was surprised to find that she didn't have any clothes made of this material. Qin Chu said faintly, "Andy, this material? It's rainbow cloud brocade from Wannan. Have you heard of it?" Rainbow cloud brocade? Gosh, isn't that top-grade material made by the Jiang family's workshop in the Ming Dynasty? Rumor has it that it's always been a tribute. Then, during the Republic of China, the workshop declined and the brocade gradually disappeared from the market. I've heard people talk about it, but I've never seen it. My mother-in-law said that her mother's family used to have a rainbow cloud brocade dress. Then, during the chaos, the house was robbed and the dress disappeared. It's not easy to find it now. Qin Chu knows a lot about this. He bought 2 batches of material from an old friend and made 2 dresses, one for you and one for my mother. Come on, Auntie Sue, try it on and let us see. It'll look beautiful. Huamin chuckled. Only 2. Doesn't that mean you don't have any? Lady Sue looked at Huamin. I'm not in a hurry. My mother will give me hers in the future. You should keep yours and give it to Su Yu's wife in the future. Huamin said half-jokingly. Pudding held Lady Sue's hand and said, Grandma Su, I'll go upstairs with you to change. I can help you hold the hem of your dress in case you slip. Ha, good girl. I didn't dote on you for nothing. Lady Sue was so happy that she kept touching Pudding's face. She put down the walnut in her hand and said, Qin Zhao Zhao, don't be so shameless. That's my specialty. What do you mean by your patent? Flattery? Pudding asked. Little Bean, the quarrel between the sisters made everyone laugh. Then, Lady Sue took the twins upstairs to change into their cheongsams. Qin Chu and Huamin stayed downstairs with the 2 elders. Mr. Su really liked the elegant orchid ink slab and couldn't bear to put it down. Qin Chu said, Uncle, this ink slab is a bit too big. The craftsman didn't grind it because it was made from a whole piece of stone, so it's not very nice to look at. You can keep it as a piece of art. If you really grind it, it's a bit too big. It's not convenient to hold. Who said so? I like to use big ones. It's comfortable, huh? Mr. Su laughed loudly. Mion, the twins aren't young anymore. You can't always hire a tutor. Is it time for them to go to school? Is there a suitable kindergarten for them? Grandpa Su glanced at Huamin and suddenly thought of this topic. Chapter 1849. I'm thinking about it too, Mr. Lord Su. The military kindergarten is good. It's heavily guarded and managed. Most importantly, if they become soldiers in the future, they can directly apply for military school. The score requirements aren't that high. Dad, they're 2 delicate girls. Why would they go to military school? Why are you so silly? Mion wouldn't be willing to let them go. Even if Mion and her husband were willing, we wouldn't be willing to let them go. You know how hard it is in the military. Mr. Su seemed reluctant. Although the military is hard, it's also training. Plus, protecting the country is the highest honor. The old man said this with a righteous tone. Huamin and Qin Chu looked at each other and smiled. Lord Su is right. My daughters aren't that delicate. Let's go home and talk about it. If we can't find a suitable kindergarten, we can ask Lord Su to help us enroll them in a district kindergarten. At least, their safety is guaranteed. See, Mion is the most sensible one. The old man seemed to be satisfied with Huamin's answer. As they chatted, Lady Sue walked down the stairs. "Look, Grandma Sue is so beautiful," Little Bean yelled at the top of her lungs. Everyone immediately turned to look at the stairs. Lady Sue had a good foundation. She was beautiful and had fair skin. Even though she was old, she still looked charming. Huamin always thought that although Lady Sue wasn't from a famous family, she had the aura of a rich lady. That kind of temperament was emitted from the bones, and was not something that was deliberately imitated by makeup. "This color really suits Mrs. Sue." Huamin smiled. "It depends on the aura." It was rare for Mr. Qin, who was always cold, to praise someone. Mr. Sue and Lord Sue both nodded. Especially Mr. Sue, who pretended to be calm. The material is really good. It's top grade." Lord Sue, it's only the material, okay? Where are you?" Little Bean ran over and acted coquettishly. "You little devil. You're getting more and more naughty." "Lord Sue, compliment Grandma Sue." "I rarely hear you compliment people." "Grandma Sue is so beautiful today, don't be stingy with your compliments." Little Bean continued to pull on Mr. Sue's hand, acting cute. "Ahem. It is indeed beautiful." Finally, under Little Bean's pressure, Mr. Sue, who had always been reserved and serious, finally said, "It's indeed beautiful." However, Lady Sue was already very satisfied. Her cheeks were slightly flushed. "Chew, thank you. Thank you so much." Lady Sue thanked them with a smile. "Auntie, you don't have to be so polite with us. I've always treated you guys as my family. This isn't a gift, it's a form of filial piety." Huamin was afraid that the Sue family would feel burdened, so he quickly explained. "I understand what you mean. But let's stop chatting. The food is almost ready. Let's go." Lady Sue gestured for everyone to head to the dining room. Pudding raised her head and looked out the door. Then she asked unhappily, "Where's Handsome Sue?" "I called him. He's on his way home after work. I think he'll be here soon," Lady Sue replied. As soon as they sat down in the dining room, they heard the loud sound of an engine. Pudding and Little Bean ran out like the wind. "Wow, it's really a Lamborghini. Handsome Sue is back." Pudding and Little Bean ran over to greet him as if they were fighting for his attention. The door opened. However, the person they saw wasn't Suyu. Instead, it was, "Hi, Pudding, Little Bean." A woman wearing a light pink cashmere coat with long hair and exquisite makeup greeted them. Pudding and Little Bean subconsciously took 2 steps back, showing their dislike and hostility towards her. Huamin turned his head and saw that it was Jian Tong. She was still wondering why Jian Tong was here when Suyu walked in behind Jian Tong. "You two little ones. Did you miss me?" Suyu walked in with a smile and changed his shoes. "Handsome Sue, why did you bring an outsider back? Don't you know this is an internal family gathering?" Little Bean was unhappy and immediately labeled Jian Tong as an outsider. Chapter 1850. Before Suyu could say anything, Jian Tong smiled and looked at Little Bean tenderly. "Baby, I'm not an outsider. I'm your Uncle Sue's girlfriend now." Jian Tong's words made everyone's expression change. Huamin was slightly surprised. He didn't expect Jian Tong to say that. But since she dared to say that, Suyu must have acquiesced. Old Master Su and Mr. Su didn't like women in the entertainment industry, so they didn't like Jian Tong at all. Lady Su also looked at her son in confusion. She didn't seem to be prepared for this at all. Qin Chu, on the other hand, looked calm, because he didn't care who Suyu was with. Pudding's reaction was bigger. She glanced at Jian Tong and then at Suyu. "Handsome Su, is what she said true?" Suyu seemed a little embarrassed. He raised his hand and rubbed the tip of his nose. "It's true. Auntie Jian Tong will be Uncle Su's girlfriend from now on. You guys have to get along well with her." "Oh my God, what's going on?" Pudding opened her mouth wide, obviously in disbelief. "Are you sure this isn't a joke?" Pudding still looked at Suyu calmly, as if asking for confirmation again. "It's not a joke, Pudding. I can only say, you have bad taste." Pudding turned around and left. She ignored Suyu. Pudding also looked at Suyu with disappointment. I didn't expect a woman who has seen an eagle can fall in love with a crow, and a man who has seen a rose can fall in love with a wildflower. Su Yu, Jian Tong. Pudding's golden sentence left everyone at a loss. Huamin felt embarrassed. After all, his daughter was very rude. Pudding, little bean, don't be rude. She's Uncle Su's girlfriend. You should call her Auntie Jian Tong, Huamin scolded. It's not easy to be our auntie, even if you're handsome Su's girlfriend. Little Bean said stubbornly. Pudding sat down at the table and changed the topic. Let's eat. I'm starving. After that, Pudding lowered her head and ate slowly, but it was obvious that she wasn't in a good mood. Grandma. Mom, this is Jian Tong. Su Yu formally introduced her. Hello, Lord Su. Hello, Auntie Su. Hello, Uncle Su. Jian Tong smiled sweetly, as if she wanted to please everyone. Oh, okay. Mr. Su's expression was indifferent. Lord Su didn't say a word, but it was obvious that he didn't feel good about it. You guys came back just in time. Let's eat. Lady Su understood the big picture and didn't refute her son. Su Yu walked over with Jian Tong and found a seat. Jian Tong went to Australia to shoot a movie a few days ago and bought some deep-sea fish oil there. She said it's good for your health. I asked Auntie Yu to put it away, Su Yu said. Lady Su glanced at Jian Tong and smiled a little distantly. Miss Jian, you're too kind. We don't need anything. You don't have to buy things for us in the future. It's just a small token of my appreciation. Auntie, don't be so polite with me. Jian Tong seemed to want to please the Su family. Mom, your cheongsam looks good. It's new. Su Yu immediately changed the topic to ease the tension. Mian and Chu gave it to me. It's made of the long-lost rainbow cloud brocade. Of course, it looks good. Huamin, you're so generous. You spent so much money. Are you going to eat dirt next month? After all, you only earned 10,000 yuan as the president. Su Yu looked at Huamin with a smile. Huamin worked at the company and only earned 10,000 yuan a month. But the problem was that the company belonged to his family. He could use as much as he wanted. Su Yu used to joke about the 10,000 yuan to tease Huamin. Why would I care about that when I'm buying a gift for Auntie? It's worth it even if I eat dirt. Huamin smiled faintly. I finally realized that Little Bean inherited all her skills from her mom. Su Yu smirked. What does it have to do with me? I'm the one being implicated. Little Bean rolled her eyes at Su Yu. Pudding couldn't take it anymore. She glanced at Su Yu and said, Handsome Su, get to the point. Did you bring her here today to announce your new relationship? You purposely chose today when everyone is here, didn't you? Pudding's words made the atmosphere tense up again. Chapter 1851. Su Yu looked embarrassed. Pudding. Kids don't understand adult matters. Handsome Su, don't try to fool us with these childish words. After all, Little Bean and I aren't kids anymore. If you announce your relationship on a day like this, are you declaring war against my daddy or telling my mommy that you've already switched sides with someone else? Su Yu was speechless. Pudding, don't talk nonsense. Pudding's words made Huamin so embarrassed that he almost died of cancer. I'm not talking nonsense. The whole world knows that Handsome Su likes mommy. Could it be that Handsome Su was triggered by Daddy's return? Is that why you're so desperate? If that's the case, you're really low, Pudding analyzed calmly. I completely agree with my sister. Handsome Su, what you did this time was really wrong, Little Bean began to criticize. Su Yu was speechless. Pudding, Little Bean. Don't talk to Uncle Su like that. Chin Chu felt that although his daughter was still young, Su Yu would definitely lose face if she spoke so openly, so he scolded her for the first time. Jian Tong, on the other hand, was very calm and didn't feel uncomfortable. It was as if she had expected this before she came. There's still some soup in the pot. I'll go get it for Lord Su. Huamin took the opportunity to get up and leave the table. He walked towards the kitchen, and Jian Tong saw this and followed him. Let me help you, Huamin. Then, Jian Tong followed Huamin into the kitchen. Lord Su's face immediately darkened. He looked at Su Yu and said, You, what are you doing? Grandpa, I'm not doing anything. I'm an adult, what's wrong with having a girlfriend? Aren't you happy about it? It's not about whether we're happy or not. I've told your father many times that the Su family doesn't look for women from the entertainment industry. If you find someone from a good family, we'll definitely support you. Lord Su looked unhappy. Suyu, how old are you? Why are you still so impulsive? Suyu's father was furious. Even Lady Su, who had always been gentle and virtuous, could not help but scold her son. Son, what are you trying to do? Why did you suddenly bring someone back? You didn't even tell me beforehand. And why is it Jian Tong? You and her? Mom, I've talked to Jian Tong before. She's been doing her job at the company all these years, so I know what she's like. Plus, she's very good to me and she's very devoted to me. Why can't I choose her? It's better to choose someone I know than someone I don't know. I think we're just going back to how we used to be. There's nothing wrong with it. Suyu seemed to be determined to acquiesce to this relationship. He didn't hesitate to fall out with his grandfather and parents. It was inconvenient for Qin Chu to intervene in the Su family's affairs, so he could only choose to watch with folded arms. The twins, on the other hand, were not calm and seemed to be very angry. Handsome Su, even if you want to find a girlfriend, you can't find someone like her. She's a typical pretentious bitch. We don't like Jian Tong. We just don't like her, we don't like her at all. Little Bean was throwing a tantrum. She crossed her arms in front of her chest and pretended to hit someone. Little Bean, Lord Su is already so old. Do you really want your Uncle Su to be single forever? Suyu smiled as he touched Little Bean's chin. Pudding glanced at Suyu coldly. No one is stopping you from finding a girlfriend. I thought you should at least find someone suitable for you. A few days ago, I was asking Dad about Auntie Qin Ning. I knew she was single, so I wanted to wait for her to come back so I could set you up with her. But you're such a disappointment. You just have to find a female celebrity. Plus, I know you don't like that woman at all, but you still pretend to like her. You're just putting on an act for everyone to see. There's only one reason why you're doing this. Pudding paused for a moment. Sis? What's Handsome Su's purpose? Little Bean was confused. Chapter 1852. My goal is to make Daddy and Mommy happy, so that Mommy won't have to worry about Handsome Su anymore. But what a stupid thing to do. My mommy is Huamin. With her IQ, there's no way she can't guess. So what you're doing is meaningless. Handsome Su, when you're being childish, you're really like a child. Even your IQ is lower than Little Bean's. Hey, it's none of my business. I'm not taking the blame for this, Little Bean immediately clarified. Suyu's face turned pale upon hearing Little Bean's words. Little Bean, you're pushing your Uncle Su to his death. You're so young, how can you have so many ideas? Suyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If these words were said by someone else, he would be very angry and offended. But when it came from Little Bean, the meaning was different. Little Bean and Little Bean were both children that he loved dearly. They were almost like his own daughters. He never got mad at them, and he didn't even have the heart to criticize them. When Huamin was teaching them a lesson, he still defended them. Pudding, Uncle Su is an adult. What he chooses is his own business. You have no right to judge him. Qin Chu knew that Suyu did this to make Huamin feel at ease. But after his daughter said it out loud, Suyu really wanted to die. It was so awkward. Pudding, come to Grandma Su. Let's ignore your Uncle Su. Lady Su opened her arms. Pudding obediently walked over and sat on Lady Su's lap. Little Bean immediately moved to Mr. Lord Su's side. Lord Su, please hug me. I'm not heavy, I'm even lighter than my sister. Okay, I'll hug you. Suyu's father was so amused by Little Bean that he couldn't care less about Suyu's ridiculous behavior. No one said anything else and just ate in silence. Huamin didn't go to the kitchen to get soup, he just wanted to avoid the awkward atmosphere. However, he didn't expect Jian Tong to follow him in. Huamin didn't say anything. He just held the bowl of soup silently. Huamin! Jian Tong called out to him. To be honest, Huamin didn't like Jian Tong at all, even though she wasn't as extreme as Emo Shui and Song Yisher. But Jian Tong was definitely not that kind of person. Huamin had dealt with her a few times, and he didn't like her character very much. Miss Yiling, what's the matter? Huamin's smile was very distant. Lord Su and I are together again. The person I want to thank the most is actually you. Hee, why are you thanking me? I didn't ask Su Yu to do that. Huamin smiled faintly. Jian Tong looked at Huamin's handsome face with extreme arrogance. Thank you for being so heartless. You taught him to give up. I'm heartless. Huamin was dumbfounded. Did she abandon Su Yu? Or did she cheat on him? Why would she use the word heartless to describe her? If she had feelings for Su Yu, then she was the most heartless to Mr. Qin. No matter what, you made us who we are. I used to think that I had no chance of winning, but I didn't think that his 4 years of being with you wouldn't even be enough for you to turn around. So Lord Su is tired. He's a normal man. If he doesn't get a response, he won't follow you around and wag his tail like a dog. You also don't have the right to torture him, so please stay away from Su Yu from now on. He's no longer under your skirt. Jian Tong didn't hold back as she looked at Huamin with hostility. Chapter 1853. Miss Jian, let me correct you on one point. I've never abused Su Yu, and I don't think he's my dog. Please watch your words. To me, Huamin, Su Yu is the most important friend in my life. No matter what difficulties he encounters in the future, I, Huamin, will do anything for him. I don't care what happened between the two of you, but please don't try to use moral coercion on me. I don't care what happened between the two of you, but please don't use the word guest under my skirt on me. You're not a good person to say something like that, so I won't blame you. Huamin coldly glanced at Jian Tong's delicate face, which was covered with makeup. Fine, everyone says you're a genius with a sharp tongue. I can't outtalk you. What I want to say is, Lord Su is doing great with me. You don't have to worry about him, and you don't have to feel guilty about him. He's doing great, and I'll work hard to become Mrs. Su in a short time. After saying that, Jian Tong slammed the soup bowl on the marble table with a loud bang, then turned around. Huamin wasn't in a good mood. She might know why Su Yu did what he did, but she didn't think Su Yu's actions were rational. Huamin understood that Su Yu wanted her to be happy, so that she could live happily with Mr. Qin and his family without any psychological burden or guilt. However, his actions made Huamin's heart ache even more. Huamin suddenly remembered something Jiang Shaowei once said to her. Su Yu loved her so much that he was humble. He was so humble that he was willing to do anything for her, as long as he was good to her. At this thought, Huamin's heart began to ache. When she came out of the kitchen, her face was calm again, and she served everyone soup. After sitting for a while, Huamin and his family got up to leave. Stay a bit longer, it's still early, Lady Su said reluctantly. Mian, play chess with me. Grandpa Qin looked at Huamin with love in his eyes. Lord Su will play another day. It's getting late, you should rest early. Don't forget to take your blood pressure medicine. Don't be angry, stay in a good mood and get regular checkups. I know you're such a chatterbox. Lord Su chuckled. Su Yu, we're going back, Huamin said for the first time that night. Yes, of course. Min glanced at Su Yu. Su Yu nodded. Okay, be careful. Then he turned around and looked at the twins. Pudding, little bean, say goodbye to me. Su Yu smiled and waved his hand. Pudding, of course. Mian, little. She glanced at Su Yu and wanted to say hello, but Pudding hit her again. So she made up her mind and left. Hey, what's wrong with these two kids tonight? Why are they so rude? For the first time, Su Yu was ignored by the twins. This was the first time in 3 years. His heart was filled with a sense of loss. I'm sorry. They're too young to understand. Qin Chu apologized to Su Yu, feeling guilty. Oh, it's okay. They're only angry for a while. They'll be fine. I'll send Pudding a WeChat message. Su Yu smiled. Qin Chu nodded. Be careful on your way back. Drive slowly. Su Yu said politely. Qin Chu nodded again and said goodbye to the Su family. Mom, Dad, Grandpa, we're leaving too. Seeing Huamin and the others leave, Su Yu didn't want to stay at home for a second longer. He grabbed his jacket and was about to leave. Wait, I have something to talk to you about. Lady Su glanced at her son and called him to the pantry on the first floor. Jian Tong, on the other hand, was sitting on the couch in the living room, playing with her phone and scrolling through Weibo. She didn't seem to care that the Su family didn't like her. Grandpa Su went upstairs to his study, and Mr. Su wasn't in a good mood either. The driver drove them out to meet an old friend for tea. Mom, what's up? What's going on between you and Jian Tong? What do you mean what's going on? Su, you play dumb. Are you two real or fake? Are you putting on a show for Mion? Lady Su asked. Chapter 1854. Mom, does it make a difference whether it's real or not? I have a girlfriend anyway, isn't the world at peace? Su Yu's eyes looked tired, as if he didn't want to talk about his relationship with Jian Tong. How can it be the same? Son, you've been single all these years. You've always stuck to your principles and wanted to find someone you like? Now that things have gotten to this point, how can you give up all of a sudden? Lady Su tried her best to persuade him. What else can I do? I've already left Mion's side. As long as Qin Chu is here, she won't see anyone else. Su Yu looked very lonely. But Mion isn't the only girl in the world. You can't give up the entire forest for one tree. Mion is great, but she has a happy family. We can't be the third wheel. Mom? Who wants to be the third wheel? You're getting off topic. Su Yu held his head. Anyways, the Su family won't let Jian Tong marry into our family. Mom? What are you talking about? What do you mean marry her? Su Yu looked at his mother helplessly. Aren't you going to? I'm dating her, not marrying her. I've already thought about it. I'm going to be a celibate. I'll never get married. As for grandchildren, don't worry, I'm just going to make a few for you guys, okay? Huh? What are you talking about? Lady Su was obviously unhappy. But I still have things to do. I'm going back to the mansion. Mom, you should rest early. Otherwise, you won't be pretty. Then, before Lady Su could say anything, Su Yu turned around and left. Lady Su looked at her son's back worriedly. She sighed slightly and went upstairs. What did that brat say? Lord Su came out of the study and asked in a serious tone. I think, maybe Mion's incident hit him hard, and he's giving up on himself. Giving up on himself? Then tell him not to say that he's a member of the Su family. He's a disgrace to the Su family. Also, tell him not to let me see that girl in the house. Master Lord Su's face was filled with anger as he returned to his room with his hands behind his back. Lady Su was left in a dilemma. The old one was angry, and the young one was disobedient. How great would it be if Mion was really his daughter-in-law? He didn't know when Lady Su had developed such greed. On the way back, the twins didn't say a word. They seemed very unhappy. Huomin knew that they were still angry about what had happened between Su Yu and Jian Tong. Pudding, you went a little overboard today. You shouldn't have said that to Uncle Su. He's always loved you and Little Bean. He'll be very sad if you talk back to him like that, Huomin scolded. Then what should I say? Should I say that his new girlfriend is beautiful? Was she praising them for being a good match? That's not my style. Pudding wasn't in a good mood as she looked out the window and answered her mother's question. What I mean is, your Uncle Su is an adult, and he has his reasons for his decisions. You're still kids, so you shouldn't be so rude. Today, you said those things in front of so many people. Uncle Su will be very embarrassed. Huomin slowed down his tone, trying to persuade Pudding. Otherwise, the Su family would think that she didn't teach her daughter well. Aren't you embarrassed by what handsome Su did? Pudding asked. Chapter 1855. Pudding's words left Huomin speechless. As expected, even Huomin couldn't deal with this little girl. Huomin knew he couldn't win against his daughter. He immediately looked at Qin Chu, who was driving as if asking for help. Qin Chu understood and glanced at Pudding through the rearview mirror. Pudding, what Mommy means is, Uncle Su's business is the Su family's business. We can't poke our nose into everything. That would be rude. No matter how good a friend is, there should be a bottom line, right? Daddy, I understand now. Handsome Sue probably thinks we're meddling in his business. I really didn't expect him to do something like this. I'm a little sad. Be a good girl. Uncle Sue might have taken things too hard. He might not do it in a few days. We have to give him time. Don't be sad. Daddy's here for you. Okay, Daddy. I want to go out to sea tomorrow. Can I? Pudding was still a child. When she was in a bad mood, she knew she wanted to see the sea. Sure, Daddy will take you tomorrow. Thank you, Daddy. Pudding's face finally brightened up. Pudding, who had always been known as a glutton and cute, didn't say anything. She didn't even want to interrupt. Pudding, we're going out to sea tomorrow. Are you happy? You have to dress up. Daddy will take some beautiful photos of you guys. Chin Chu gently coaxed his little daughter. Daddy, I'm a little tired. I don't think I'll go. You take Pudding. Pudding was even more depressed. Chin Chu, Pudding, Daddy will make a lot of delicious food on the cruise. There's also fresh salmon sashimi and your favorite tuna sushi. Those are Daddy's signature dishes. You'll regret it if you don't eat them. Hwamin tried to tempt her with delicious food. Mommy, am I just a glutton in your eyes? Pudding looked up and asked. Chin Chu, Hwamin, no, little bean, you're the best in Daddy and Mommy's hearts. You and your sister are our pride, Chin Chu comforted her patiently. If that's the case, then don't try to talk me out of it. I'm really not in the mood. I thought handsome Sue loved me and my sister. I didn't expect him to have a change of heart so quickly. He even found a pretentious bitch. I'm so annoyed. I'm not going to talk to handsome Sue anymore. I'm so sad. Chin Chu and Hwamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Daddy, don't talk her out of it. Since little bean is in such a bad mood, let her stay with Grandma tomorrow. We can go out and play. I want Daddy to teach me how to fish. Pudding interrupted. All right, it's decided then. Wait a minute, aren't you going to persuade me? You're giving up just like that? Little bean immediately perked up. I tried to persuade you, but you wouldn't listen. Since that's the case, you should stay at home and have some peace. You did it on purpose, didn't you? I did. Are you going to bite me? As they talked, the two sisters started to fight again, giving Hwamin a headache. Chin Chu could tell that Hwamin was tired. With one hand on the steering wheel, he put his other hand on the back of Hwamin's hand. Are you tired? Hang in there, we're almost home. Don't worry about Suyu. I don't think he's a reckless person. There must be other reasons. I'll talk to him when I have time, Chin Chu comforted. I know. Honey, don't worry about me. I'm really fine. Hwamin smiled. On the other side, Su Yu and Jian Tong drove back to Su Yu's mansion. As the two of them walked into the forest, a few faint flashes of light came from the bushes not far behind them. Jian Tong walked behind Su Yu. When she turned around, she had a smug smile on her face. It's getting late. I'll get someone to take you home. Su Yu was exhausted and didn't even look at Jian Tong. President Su, I'm willing to continue acting with you. Jian Tong looked at Su Yu affectionately and said. Chapter 1856. One scene is enough. Su Yu was in low spirits, so his voice was much softer than usual. To be honest, today's scene was really tiring, even though he owned a film and television company. But acting wasn't his forte. Hwamin is so smart. If we just do one scene, he'll probably see through us. Then, everything we've done before will be meaningless. Su Yu didn't say anything. Jian Tong carefully took 2 steps forward. President Su, I'm not afraid of trouble. I'm willing to act with you. I'll stop whenever you tell me to. I won't pester you. Why do you have to do this? Su Yu felt sorry for himself, so why was Jian Tong even more pitiful than him? Really, I'm doing this willingly. I don't have a boyfriend right now, and President Su, if you act with me to create a scandal, it'll improve my career, so why not? I won't lose anything. Please don't feel burdened. Su Yu still didn't say anything. He just sighed slightly. There's something I want to tell you. You'll probably be very angry, Jian Tong said softly. What is it? I got a reporter to follow me. I'm going to expose it tomorrow morning. Su Yu, President Su, if you want to scold me, you can order them to return the negatives. After all, I planned this myself. Jian Tong made herself sound very wronged and took the initiative to clarify this time. Because of this, even if Su Yu wanted to scold Jian Tong, he didn't know how to say it. Jian Tong was very smart. Forget it. It doesn't matter. After all, I brought you home in such a big way, so the media probably took pictures of it. President Su, can I not go back tonight? If I stay overnight, it'll be more believable. Of course, don't worry, I won't do anything to you. I'll sleep downstairs and won't disturb your rest. Do whatever you want. I'm a little tired. Su Yu wasn't in the mood to continue chatting with Jian Tong, so he got up and walked upstairs. Jian Tong seemed to be used to Su Yu's indifference. She was even a little surprised that she finally had this opportunity. After all, she really wanted to thank Huamin. Without Huamin's provocation, President Su probably wouldn't have thought of using her as a cover. But no matter what, this was what Jian Tong wanted. She rested in the bedroom downstairs. It didn't feel strange at all. She used the bathroom casually. After Su Yu went upstairs, he didn't come down again, nor did he say another word to Jian Tong. The next morning when Jian Tong went downstairs, Jian Tong had already prepared breakfast. President Su, there's only fried eggs and toast in the fridge, so I made some fried eggs. I hope you don't mind. I'm not eating anymore. Su Yu was still in low spirits. Seeing Su Yu not eating, Jian Tong stopped eating. She picked up her coat and followed him out. However, before they even arrived at the company, the news on their phones was already overwhelming. The president of Imperial Star, Su Yu, was suspected to have gotten back together with his ex-girlfriend, Jian Tong. They spent the night together at his mansion, and their relationship was exposed. When Huamin was eating breakfast in the morning, his phone kept popping up. Zhu Lingling, Mian, what's going on with Lord Su? Jian Tong? Oh my god. I don't like that little bitch. Jiang Xiaowei, what's going on with Lord Su? Is it true that he's with Jian Tong? Do you know? And I Yang, sis, the company is saying that Jian Tong and President Su got back together, is that true? I think it's on the headlines. Huamin picked up his phone and was about to reply when putting threw her phone on the floor, full of emotions. Pudding, what's going on? Qin Chu looked at his eldest daughter in confusion. That woman must have done something as shameful as exposing their relationship. Handsome Su wouldn't do something so high-profile now. That despicable woman. Pudding seemed to have a lot of animosity towards Jian Tong. She was sure that Jian Tong was behind everything. As for Handsome Su, he was just being used. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.